This 2-year-old boy has just learned to walk, but is deep in thought like an old man. He thinks about the future, having to compete for the position of patriarch with his genius martial artist brothers. No matter how hard he trains, he still feels like a useless person. Therefore, he has to rack his brain to find a way to have the most comfortable life, where he doesn't have to work but still has something to eat. As long as I can escape from this clan, that's enough. Haha, I truly am a genius. While he was enjoying his own thoughts and laughing out loud, he suddenly noticed a foul smell around him. It turned out he had just pooped, and he thought he was something impressive. Then he started crying and throwing a tantrum. The reason this boy is so strange is that he still remembers his past life. Desua is the little young master of the strongest martial arts clan, the Nam Gung clan, but he has no talent at all and was thrown out of the clan like trash. After inviting an old man to drink together, they felt like they had known each other for a long time. After a few toasts, the old man started rambling about how he could return to the past, which of course Desua didn't believe. That night, while wandering around, he encountered a robber and, indeed, had the worst luck, being killed by him with a single strike. While Desua was still preparing to meet his ancestors, suddenly a piece of paper in his possession began to glow strangely. It was the old man who had secretly placed it in his belongings. When he opened his eyes once more, he found himself in the form of a newborn. The scene looked somewhat familiar. Clearly, this is my younger self. Could it be due to that old drunkard's paper? Time passed, and Desua was now 3 years old. This boy often walked around the hall where valuable items were kept, and a greedy smile began to spread across his face. I wonder how much they are worth. To execute his plan to escape the clan, he had to continuously hoard money. Build a 4-sided thatched house, marry 2 or 3 beauty queens or runners-up, why bother struggling as a martial artist? 2 years went by, and Desua was still secretly stealing his father's precious items to pawn them. The maid thought he was being mischievous and tried to stop him, but he asked her to pawn the items for him. He even told her, "Don't worry, my father is the strongest martial artist, he is only passionate about martial arts and won't pay attention to these trivial matters." He didn't realize that all his actions had been discovered by his father. Before long, Desua turned 8 years old. He was quite proud of having cleaned out his father's treasure. The Scarlet Blood Army also accompanied him to his private residence. This time, he was there for the clan to assess his talent. Desua thought to himself that he had to give them a painful surprise. If he just shows that he has no talent at all, he won't be forced to train in martial arts anymore. Suddenly, he spotted his father here, the world's #1 martial god. He thought his father had discovered his gambling issue, and his body trembled uncontrollably. Fortunately, his father left right after he greeted him. His 3 talented older brothers were also present. One of them acted all cute, "I'm not competing for anything. You guys can just punch and kick, just stay away from me." After the feast came the talent test of the Nam Gung clan for him. The test would consist of 3 parts. The first part was lifting weights. Desua went straight to the 5-kilogram dumbbell and lifted it. It should be noted that previously, the Grand Young Master lifted 250 kilograms, the Second Young Master lifted 200 kilograms, and the Third Young Master lifted 150 kilograms. But even the 50 kilograms dumbbell was too heavy for him, he was truly useless. Everyone immediately felt disappointed, and most left. This was exactly Desua's plan. He had to appear as talentless as possible so that he could live a life of ease. The second test was about agility. Desua had to walk on numerous wooden poles, but after just a few steps, he fell flat on his face. The elders of the clan were also stunned. How could he be so useless? I can't bear to watch anymore. Finally, there is the most important test, the feeling of chi. At this point, only the leaders and their attendants remain. He must appear as useless as possible so they won't have to compete against each other. He does not know that his father is also observing him from a distance. The old man began to transmit a stream of chi to him so he could stabilize it in his dantian. The method of chi transportation he had practiced for 20 years in his previous life, so of course, this was too easy. But if I disturb my body in front of everyone, I might not be able to practice martial arts for a few years. Haha, what a clever plan. Suddenly, a terrible pain surged through him. Even if he had to be bedridden for a few years, he had to take the risk. His whole body ached, and he fell down. With this injury, even if I recover, I will no longer be able to become a higher-level warrior. I will recover slowly and show them that I have no interest in martial arts. Suddenly, the family master appeared here to take Desoa for treatment. This made the senior brothers anxious as well. Could it be that the father really likes the boy? But with his recent performance, all three abandoned that thought. No matter how hard the boy tries, he cannot compete for the position of family master among them. The elder divine doctor was also called over. He thought carefully. The Desoa nursery has been receiving aid since 5 years ago. Desoa, the young master, should not have survived. But now he appears here, healthy, and moreover, has the attention of the family master. Perhaps it's because of Madame Gu, the one the family master loves most, that he cannot abandon his own child. When Desoa woke up, he felt no pain at all, on the contrary, he felt full of energy. Clearly, his plan had failed. I should have woken up in a state where I needed special care for many years and been told that I would have to give up martial arts. Damn it, I need to come up with a new plan. His father's face suddenly became frightening. Are you having fun? But as my son, if your blood chi is still overdone, that is unacceptable. Desoa also thought carefully. In my previous life, I never spoke to my father like this. I don't even remember if he considered me his son, which is completely different from the current situation. What is the reason for this? At this moment, Desoa felt a strong energy within his body. The divine doctor also told him, originally, your body was born with very chaotic blood chi, no matter how you practiced, you would never reach the 3rd rank. When you manipulate blood chi, if you make even a slight mistake, you will still lose your life. Desoa's face was blank at that moment. I almost died just now. He also mentioned that both he and his son possessed a heavenly martial offering, which was indeed miraculous. It's just like how 2 sons cannot coexist. It is considered the strongest skill, containing the martial arts of heaven. However, the divine doctor also informed them that Desoa cannot fully refine chi. Once he channels his energy, the blood chi will shatter, and at that point, he won't be able to save him. Hearing this, the guy outside appeared very dejected, but inside, he was secretly laughing. Afterwards, his father gave him a mediocre martial arts book, the basic 3-talent swordsmanship skill, which was commonly sold in the market. Practicing swordsmanship does not require inner strength, perhaps he had lost all hope for him. Everything was gradually going according to plan. Desoa returned home and had a hearty meal. Before going to bed, he took out the swordsmanship book to read a bit to help him sleep. To his surprise, it was filled with meaningless phrases. The combination of the 3 talents of heaven, earth, and humanity in swordsmanship sounded overly mystical. But since he wasn't sleepy yet, Desoa took out his sword and practiced a few moves. His father and the divine doctor, who were drinking on the rooftop, were completely startled. This boy dances the fan so skillfully. Oh wait, I mean he dances the sword. Desoa has been practicing swordplay all night without realizing it. This is the selflessness realm, a state where, when reaching the limit set by fate, some will find the answers they seek, while others will discover a new path for themselves. Only his father knows that his son is beginning to embrace martial arts. What he struggled to master in his past life was merely that of a 3rd-rate fighter, but now it is completely different. The feeling of comfortably wielding the sword brings an unusual joy. The divine Dr. Li Han also came the next day to check his wounds. A normal person would take 4 months to heal, but this guy has fully recovered in just a week. Could it be due to the fan dance from the previous day? After that, Desoa went to the training hall. The records here belong to the senior brothers, with training durations of 30 days, 60 days, and 90 days respectively. There are 2 ways to pass through the training hall. One is through the annual assessment, and the second is to participate in endless battles. Seeing these genius freaks training hard made him shiver a little. One guy fell asleep while standing in a stance, while another boasted that he danced the sword 100,000 times yesterday. They are all hard-working monsters compensating for their lack of intelligence. Desoa was determined to take revenge for his past life. In the upcoming annual evaluation, he had to completely fail in order to succeed. 7 days later, Desoa felt his inner strength continuously increasing, albeit slowly. At this rate, it will take a few hundred years to accumulate enough inner strength for cultivation. Haha, how wonderful. That day, Vice Strategist Nam Gung Yang came to see him. He was an 8-year-old genius who had become the youngest top scholar. This guy was sent here for an internship by Uncle Lin, allowing him to enjoy himself without having to explain trivial matters to the officials anymore. His gaze suddenly became terrifying as he asked if Desuo wanted to dominate the martial world with him. Clearly, he was a madman, and Desuo was trying to escape. He had also approached Desuo's senior brothers but was rejected, which was why he had to come here. This guy went to the training hall and shouted that Desuo would flatten all those foolish people. Damn it, this is bad, Desuo thought. The white-haired guy even added, let me introduce the future master of the Nam Gung clan. Immediately, Desuo knocked him out. Afterward, he had to take him to the medical institute for treatment. When this guy woke up, he started talking nonsense again. It seems that after getting hit in the head, he has even more problems. He claims to have found someone who can change this foolish clan. This left divine doctor speechless, unsure of how to cure his delusions. Desuo returned to the training hall, where everyone was focused on seeing what kind of power little young master possessed. Immediately, they were disappointed to find that it was just a few basic sword moves. His plan to become a failure was progressing smoothly. He was even thinking about going home for a feast when he ran into Yang. He told himself that he would leave the Nam Gung clan and not to be bothered. But this guy said, then we share the same ambition. This small place certainly cannot stop you from dominating the martial world, right? Wow, delusional indeed. Desuo also realized that this guy was quite delusional. He was like a crazy revolutionary. If this were a time of great chaos, he would shine. But in the peaceful era of Nam Gung, he was just a madman trying to cause trouble for others. He even called Desuo his army commander, no matter how much Desuo refused. Because this guy was too annoying, Desuo ended up telling him to wait for a year. 4 months later, Desuo's progress could be described as moving from useless person to advanced useless person, since during this time he only learned the basics of 3-talent swordsmanship. This happened exactly as planned. Everyone called him a crazy guy, while Yang still referred to him as his army commander. He cast a terrifying glance at the two who dared to speak ill of his master, causing them to freeze in fear before he left. He brought along a fancy gift box. As soon as he took a bite, he realized it was a minor rejuvenation pill. He was immediately stunned and asked where he got such good stuff. This is a gift from the abbot at Shaolin Temple for the clans. He even asked the maidens to join in for fun, which was too much. Was this guy a thief? Desuo suddenly felt his internal energy begin to dissipate but didn't pay much attention. Beside him, the white-haired guy was wearing a sinister smile, looking truly creepy. The next day was the annual assessment. While everyone was frantically training, Desuo was sitting back and relaxing comfortably, boasting that everything was ready. Indeed, as expected of an army commander, the time has finally come to destroy this foolish Nam Gung clan. I have prepared the entire plan to overthrow Nam Gung. This guy kept rambling as usual, but he was used to it. The final exam had arrived, and his father, senior brothers, and tutor were all present, making Desuo feel a bit panicked. It's just an annual exam, why are they here? Yang was carrying a huge banner to cheer, which startled him. He even shouted loudly, the light of the Nam Gung clan. The dreams and hopes of the Nam Gung clan, the number one in the world, Desuo. This made him feel embarrassed in front of his mother. Is this guy messing with me? The elder also began to explain that there are 2 ways to evaluate. First, you can challenge one of the people here and duel with them. You can join any team of your choice. But you can only duel once. If you fail, you must compete again next year. Second, one person will go on stage and complete 5 rounds of dueling. The evaluation is not based on wins or losses but will be given after all 5 duels are completed. The rules were announced, and the exam began. A disciple recklessly challenged the guild master of the Shanggong Sword Guild, Nam Gung Zheng, whose name is Nam Gung Huan. This shocked everyone. In his previous life, he alone had defeated 100 enemy soldiers on the battlefield. He is the 100-kill warrior, Nam Gung Huan, a swordsman of the Shanggong Sword Guild. The vice guild master even declared that if he could hold out for 10 seconds, he will accept him into the Shanggong Sword Guild. But enduring these 10 seconds is not easy. The old man rushed forward like lightning, and after attacking, he was blocked by Huan, who then unleashed a powerful strike. This time, Huan also directly launched the iron sword's 3 forms, but with a swift slash, the guildmaster broke it. However, he also allowed him to pass because he recognized the potential of this guy. If carefully honed, he will become the mightiest sword in the world. The next contestant, Desua, boldly stepped up. He challenged an unnamed disciple but was beaten terribly. It was just a performance, yet it was already too exaggerated. This made Yang very angry, especially when he heard some disciples behind him badmouthing him, "The youngest master is just a waste. Isn't his name now 3 talents lunatic?" Immediately, he turned around and scolded them for being shallow and told them to shut up. Not only that, but they were also blabbering, showing off their own ignorance. "How dare you speak so carelessly in front of him?" His father then released a terrifying aura, asking the kids why they were so dull. There was nothing interesting to see. How could this be called the number 1 clan in the world? The vice strategist beside him began to stir things up. "Therefore, I have a suggestion for the army commander. I want the army commander to compete with his brothers right here." Everyone was taken aback. Desua was horrified at the thought of his dantian being shattered again. The third senior brother immediately rushed down to the competition floor with the youngest brother, while Desua was still contemplating a way to escape, but his father's tense expression forced him to fight. To make the first match fairer, the third brother would not use any internal energy. The vice strategist was also happily cheering, but in reality, he had given a major rejuvenation pill containing years of deep internal energy to the third brother that day, yet he seemed unaffected. Only the family master of the Nam Gung family could accomplish this. On the competition floor, it was Desua's first time talking with the third brother, but he showed no mercy and charged directly to attack him. With a loud bang, the competition floor was left with a large hole. Is he trying to kill someone? Luckily, Desua managed to dodge in time, otherwise, he would have been finished. "After observing your actions and matches today, I realize you don't care about martial arts at all." "That's right, handsome third brother." He thought the brother would take it easy, but instead, he struck even harder. The speed was too fast, and Desua could only use 3 talent swordsmanship to block the attack. Although the sword of the third brother was very heavy, he was finally able to withstand it. This left everyone stunned. The third brother became even angrier, as he had just broken the ultimate sword technique of the third brother with the simplest swordsmanship. He furiously charged at him again, and at this rate, he would end up with a black eye. Therefore, he had to use his basic swordsmanship to defend himself. Desua continuously struck at the opponent's elbows, wrists, and ankles, preventing the third brother from using his strength. However, as soon as he swung his sword, the younger brother began to fake an injury and fell down. Just as he was about to gently concede and leave, he was stopped by the third brother. "You think you can pull such tricks in front of me and escape so easily? Do you think I wouldn't notice?" He wanted to fight back against Desua. Seeing this, their father also asked how the youngest was doing. This guy started to act, "I've lost. Look, I don't even have any strength left to swing the sword, how can I fight against the mighty third brother?" This made the third brother even more furious. "If you leave like this, then from today on, you will no longer be my brother but my enemy. And in my memory, I have never held back against any enemy I considered a foe. It's really frustrating, even when I concede, I'm not given any leeway." In this elimination round, they will use real swords and can utilize 3 parts of their power. Even if he wants to resist, he cannot, because this clan is filled with martial arts fanatics. Before the battle, he even threatened Desua, saying that if he didn't fight seriously, he would lose both hands. In the stands, everyone was shouting and cheering, but he could feel nothing but the pressure of the situation. He swung his sword with a powerful strike, though it wasn't fast, there was no way to dodge it. He could only use the 3 talent swordsmanship to defend. Against his storm-like offensive, he could only unleash a combination of heavenly, earthly, and human forces. The clash between them immediately shook the stands. Desua thought back to his previous life when he had shattered his dantian. In this life, would he really have to lose a hand? No way. His entire body exuded a powerful aura as if he were the last one standing in defeat. Everyone's expressions had turned serious. Tam Ca broke the sword in two with his hand, stating that he had used 5 parts of his inner strength just to block Utta. It should have been him bleeding, not Desua, so he conceded this match. Desua, after being bandaged, had regained consciousness and was overjoyed to see his arms intact. Beside him, the deputy tutor urged him not to sit up and to lie down quickly. The wound had just begun to close, and now it was reopening. Seeing his face made Desua angry again. If it weren't for his foul mouth, he wouldn't have been slashed like this. He was also informed that he was the one who won the previous battle and that his older brother had gone into seclusion to cultivate right after the fight ended. He could hardly believe that he had actually defeated his older brother. The deputy tutor also presented him with a reward from his father. It turned out to be a 3-day pass to the 10,000 Studies Library, which contained 10,000 martial arts books, including some huge treasures of martial arts knowledge. Some people, after entering the 10,000 Studies Library, saw a significant improvement in their martial arts skills. However, there were also miscellaneous martial arts skills that had not been validated. Desua directly stated that he didn't need to go in, leaving the white-haired man speechless. What? Some people want to enter but can't, yet the young master doesn't even want to. Do you want to live like a rat, never leaving your hole? Always a coward, hiding in the dark for your entire life? Clearly, this guy was insulting him. He started laughing loudly again. From now on, everything has changed. After the duel, even if you are a mouse, you will attract a lot of attention. Of course, the cats will start to take action. Only by becoming strong can you survive. You have 2 choices, become their king or kill them. Desua was very angry because this bastard had ruined all his hidden plans. He just wanted to punch him. Now his words were completely reasonable, but looking at that provoking face, he still had to beat him up. At this point, the only option was to learn martial arts to survive. Thinking back, after his elder brother won the position of family master, both the second and third brothers were recognized for their talents. He decided he had to seriously compete for that position. That way, even if he failed, he could still enjoy the fragrance of the flowers. To confront your brothers, the minimum realm I need to reach to get to that level is initial apex. The most time I can extend for you is 2 years, while second young master is in seclusion. During this time, become someone who is not swayed by others. To counterattack, you need the strength to endure. Desua had gone to the 10,000 Studies Library. According to his memory, after his elder brother left the 10,000 Studies Library, he has also become a monster unlike any other. The martial arts representing Wu Dang in the past were the Supreme Ultimate Wisdom Sword, along with the Free Technique, also known as the 3 Skills. Thanks to this, he is as strong as he is. During this time, the third young master is in seclusion. Instead, the forces of the second young master and the grand young master will target him. If he can reach the royal palace, that would be great, then the 2 young masters will have to face each other directly. After Desua entered there, everything was monitored by the 2 senior brothers. The forces quickly obtained this information, and it was time for Yang to take action. Inside the 10,000 Studies Library, it is indeed very spacious, with martial arts secrets everywhere. This guy is also greedy. If he just takes a few of these books to sell, he could spend lavishly. The second senior brother once said that if one learns the skill at the end of the bookshelf, it is the dual principles heart technique, which can split consciousness into 2 parts to simultaneously perform 2 types of martial arts. If it were just at that level, then everyone in the Nam Gung clan would have tried the dual principles heart technique already. To compete with the brothers in the battle for the position of little family master, one must find out what he has received. It is essential to uncover it. The second young master of the Nam Gung clan, Nam Gung Dong, is known by everyone as the Knight Errant. Hey, great hero. But those who know him often call him the strategist, because he is very intelligent. The one he considers the most dangerous is the vice strategist. He immediately orders his subordinate, send 5 people to the strategist palace, 5 people to the 10,000 Studies Library, all of them top-tier experts, and report back to me every half hour. Clearly, the confusion of the male lead and the madman Yang has brought him a sense of pressure as if he were being chased right behind. As expected, Desua has been studying but still cannot understand the dual principles heart technique. He has to provide his own summary. From ancient times, a small universe was formed. Within that universe, chaos arose, from chaos, order was created, forming a bipolar world, and then the yin and yang emerged from the taiji, which is called the duality of the taiji. Desua began to sit down, utilizing the great listening of spiritual principles, discovering that the internal energy in his body was moving at a very fast speed. If I try to stop it, the blood vessels will burst. I can only sense it by adding the dual principles heart technique to the spiritual principles I am cultivating, thus separating yin and yang. This guy was actually able to accomplish it easily, and he didn't forget to be self-indulgent, calling himself a genius, aha. Suddenly, his body felt strange. The lower half of his body was as cold as ice, while the upper half was burning hot. Then came a wave of pain, and his vision gradually became blurry. Since he was going to die anyway, he decided to take a risk. Desua directly mixed the two streams of convective air together. He heard a scream even more tragic than before, but after a moment, he suddenly felt no pain at all. He thought it was due to the pain being so intense that he lost sensation, but he could sense strange currents within his body. Even the spirit of the creator of this skill was taken aback. This guy had immediately entered the small city. This kid is getting too unreal. The 5 elements have autonomously started circulating within his body. This is truly absurd. This kid knows nothing, yet his body has automatically adjusted to allow the 5 elements to flow in harmony. Among the methods of grasping the yin-yang and the 3 essentials, there is actually such an absurd way. This bizarre situation is something we've never seen before, whether in life or death. But if this process doesn't go as intended and is reversed, he will become a cripple. The 2 streams of air then shot straight up to his head. No matter what he tried, he couldn't stop it. But with a sudden explosion in his head, Desua fainted. When he opened his eyes once more, 3 days had passed. Damn it, I haven't learned anything yet, and this time it's all for nothing. He suddenly felt something strange in his body, something was moving beneath his navel. That was the seed, and the 5 elements were also being transported rhythmically. They could also see the talent of the leaders. Could he become as powerful as his father and grandfather? Along with the heavenly demon from back then, they were all great characters, renowned figures at the top of the world. This was definitely worth looking forward to. Desua felt lost because he had slept for 3 days, and no one came to pick him up. Suddenly, the second senior brother arrived. This startled him a bit. Since when did my second brother care about me like this? Clearly, he's here to probe my achievements this time. The second brother led him to a lavish banquet. This guy hadn't eaten anything for 3 days and immediately became a voracious eater. Surely my second brother wouldn't poison me with such delicious food, right? This made the second brother freeze for a moment. This guy has absolutely no manners, eating like a starving ghost. I don't understand what the vice strategist sees in the youngest, he's clearly just an innocent child in his growing years. Suddenly, Desua became unusually serious. He thought he wanted to ask something important, but then this guy exclaimed, "These dishes are so delicious. Get me a few more plates." This statement left the second brother speechless. What are you eating so much for, man? Suddenly, the second brother realized that Desua's way of picking up food was the dual principles heart technique. Yet his body is so familiar with it that he doesn't even know himself. For now, the youngest is just like a small snake, posing no threat to me at all. Even Desua himself didn't understand why the second brother treated him so well. He is nicknamed the coldest person, an indifferent one, a 3-headed snake. But soon after, he found out the reason. The second brother directly said, "I also practiced the dual principles heart technique at the 10,000 Studies Library." Clearly, the eldest brother only mastered the dual principles heart technique last year. After all, it's just a minor martial art, don't take it too seriously. Just a minor martial art? Desua felt something was off. Thanks to it, my dantian has expanded, right? A dantian seed has also formed. It feels like standing in the cool green highlands. Not only that, but his eyes could also clearly see the smallest details. This made the second brother shiver. Isn't that the gaze of the elder brother looking far into the distance? Moreover, there is the smug smile of the vice strategist. We must investigate the source of the distance emanating from him immediately. At this moment, Desua was running to his father, as he thought his elder brother must have noticed something from their father, which is why he was so confident. So he felt he should hurry over to see for himself. Unexpectedly, his father was already waiting for him. As soon as he entered the main hall, the overwhelming presence of his father made him tremble. I know my father is a formidable person, but this is just too frightening. It feels like being stripped bare. I have observed my elder brother very closely and thought that with effort, I could catch up to him, but I cannot do the same with my father. The Nam Gung clan is terrifying like this. If I want to survive, I can only escape quickly from here. He also spoke, when I observed my ancestor successfully cultivate the duality mind, I saw the great golden dragon appear. When Nam Gung Dai observed me, he said he saw a great sword wanting to become powerful, that is the instinct of a martial artist. Then he directly asked him what he wanted. Alright, since I have to lie for him to reveal anything, I might as well seize the opportunity and try to speak the truth. Actually, I just want to return home to raise fish and grow more vegetables. The son has no talent in martial arts at all. Even just reading books at the 10,000 Studies library makes his head ache terribly. The son thinks that his elder brother will be the one to inherit the position of family master for the Nam Gung clan in the future. The son has no thoughts about that position at all. He laughed maniacally, startling his brother. In the past, there was someone like that in the Nam Gung clan. Throughout his life, that person never had a single scratch, not even a tiny one. De Sua was also curious, surely that was some second-generation rich kid, living a life of luxury without having to work. He pointed to the sky and said, that person is up there. Are you saying that person has ascended to heaven? De Sua felt disappointed upon hearing this, thinking that perhaps his own dreams could not be realized either. He did not know that his father was referring to his grandfather, the former family master of Nam Gung. He had to remain silent for a while. I never expected that father and son would share the same dream. Although it seems that this little guy is hiding something deep down, I hope that father will bless his grandson. He must experience it himself to realize how difficult it is to live a life of leisure. Suddenly, the door swung open, and Nam Gung Dong stormed in, filled with anger. Nam Gung Dong confidently approached his father. Father, I have a request. Please allow me to see clearly the abilities of that disciple. De Sua was taken aback upon hearing the words of his senior brother, unable to contain his surprise. Nam Gung Han remained silent, his face filled with joy and satisfaction as he looked at his two children. De Sua slowly moved closer to Nam Gung Dong. Finally, Nam Gung Han spoke up, what is your reason? Nam Gung Dong asserted, because I feel uncertain, I want to know clearly what he is thinking. Nam Gung Han showed no signs of surprise. He gently said, well, if you and he fight each other, it is clear you will win without needing to determine a victor. This win or loss is unnecessary. De Sua secretly rejoiced, happily supporting his father. Indeed, father is truly wise. However, Nam Gung Dong was not ready to give up. He presented several reasons to persuade Nam Gung Han. He is a direct descendant of the clan and will be the heir. Martial skills are one of the very important aspects for one who can inherit the position of family master. Nam Gung Han coldly asked, so what? Nam Gung Dong earnestly pleaded. Please allow my son and him to fight each other. De Sua behind could not believe his ears, his face darkened, and he was speechless. Meanwhile, Nam Gung Dong made a request, if my son loses, he will do anything that he wants. He will publicly tell everyone in the clan that he is the rightful heir of Nam Gung. The second senior brother smiled confidently, his eyes sparkling with faith in his own talent. For my son, this is a favorable opportunity. No matter the outcome, I will not do anything to disadvantage him. Behind, De Sua was pulling his hair in frustration, thinking, how could he possibly lose? Nam Gung Han nodded in agreement, gradually being convinced. Nam Gung Han turned to ask De Sua for his opinion, what do you think? De Sua covered his face for a moment, trying to take a deep breath to regain his composure. He told himself, calm down, I will ask again properly and make this seem like it never happened. After taking a deep breath, De Sua calmly reported to his father, as far as I know about this competition, since both sides are evenly matched, one side will be seriously injured during the contest. Two martial arts that are too different make victory or defeat meaningless. To compete, someone must be appointed to fight on behalf of both sides. Those who will take the place of the brothers are all strong and are experts. As for us, we only have the maids for laundry and cooking. De Soa firmly asserted, "This competition is very unreasonable, I urge my father to reconsider. Although I am grateful, it seems difficult to implement." He closed his eyes tightly, secretly pleased. What a perfect rebuttal. Nam Gung Dong indifferently continued, "On your side, there are still people available." As fate would have it, De Soa frowned and asked the annoying senior brother, fearing for his own safety, "Are we really going to send the maids to compete one day?" Nam Gung Dong pretended to stroke his chin in thought. "It seems you don't know, regarding the events that occurred in the clan during the 3 days you were at the 10,000 Studies Library." De Soa was startled and asked, "What happened?" Nam Gung Dong replied, "The vice strategist has summoned and created a force for you already." De Soa exploded in anger, knowing exactly who it was. "That crazy guy. Trust me. I'm not afraid of strong enemies, just afraid of foolish teammates." De Soa clenched his fist and swore to himself, "I will kill you." The scene shifts to 3 days earlier. Nam Gung Yang scoffed coldly, feeling as if he had aged several years. He rubbed his forehead and complained, "Although pulling strings for the little young master keeps me very busy." In anger, he threw the book he was studying on the table, muttering to himself, "But do I really have to pay attention to these trivial tasks like using the bathroom, cleaning the courtyard, wiping the stairs, tidying the roof, and pruning the trees?" Nam Gung Yang was more frustrated than ever, the arrow of resentment named Nam Gung Lin piercing through him. The master piles all the work on his disciple, so the master must be quite leisurely now, right? He resumed reading the book on the table with great focus. "Every day I have to wipe 100 steps, that's a task these servants have to do dozens of times up and down." Suddenly, Nam Gung Yang's gaze stopped at a mysterious page in the book, prompting him to exclaim, "Oh, something's about to happen." He flipped through the stack of books as if searching for something. Nam Gung Yang seemed oddly calm, no longer harboring any resentment, instead sitting quietly and reading through the pile of books. It was as if he had found a hidden passage, and he couldn't help but laugh loudly, his laughter truly haunting. The smile on his face gradually lost its humanity. His eyes reflected wickedness. If he were an ordinary person, he definitely couldn't handle such a workload. The servant of the Nam Gung clan, the best in the world, cannot be chosen carelessly. Nam Gung Yang seemed to have grasped the divine consciousness bestowed by heaven. He slammed his hand against the glass decisively. "Before the little young master makes his appearance, I must persuade them to join his side. But there is one thing that worries our vice strategist: how can we win them over? Because they are martial artists, doing menial work in the Nam Gung clan to train their skills. Perhaps each of them carries their own emotional scars. Those who once had a glorious past are now nothing but useless people." Nam Gung scratched his head in thought. He pondered this 77 to 49 times. Although the identity of a servant is hard to accept, it is a force that does not belong to any faction. These people are really suitable for the current little young master. Thinking too much truly gives one a headache. In a state of fervent determination, a rustling sound suddenly broke the silence, forcing him to look down at the source of the noise. With reality being the foundation of belief, after all, he had exhausted himself for the little family master. Nam Gung Yang decided to head to the dining room. He walked confidently with his empty stomach. "First, let's eat. Living and eating is a natural thing, how can one endure hunger?" Nam Gung Yang took out his usual key and used all his strength to swing open the front door. Standing before the dark room, he hesitated to enter, feeling curious upon hearing the melodious singing from inside. "I wonder what the elder sisters are cooking today. Oh, I need to prepare a gift for the elder sisters too." Nam Gung Yang, true to his title as vice strategist, wore a mischievous smile. "It already smells great from the outside. Is it boiled chicken tonight?" He pushed the door open and entered, holding a small gift in his hand, and cheerfully shouted, "Elder sisters, I have arrived." What he saw before him was completely unacceptable. Nam Gung Yang widened his eyes in surprise, exclaiming in utter shock. Since when did a restaurant open here? Countless people were sitting there, taking food from the meal prepared by the elder sisters, then looking up at him. Their gazes held no kindness whatsoever. They looked at him as if they bore a grudge from a past life. Nam Gung Yang almost dropped the gift in his hand, stammering. How did these people gather in the hall of little young master? Suddenly, a beautiful sister rushed over and pulled his hand to lead him away. Vice strategist, please. Sit here. Nan Gung-yang, still in shock, asked the other person, Shuang Yan, what is going on? Shuang Yan looked around at the people sitting there and cheerfully said, they are the ones who have worked hard. The clan members always eat all the food, leaving nothing behind, so there isn't enough food for them. The steward always treats them like this. He was thrown into a corner of the nearby table. Please sit, the food will be brought up shortly. The food was served continuously, and next to him, a maid's voice could be heard, today we have prepared a special dish. Every day we have to transport weapons and do heavy work, so we need to eat well. The young man felt shy. Thank you, Miss Huaya, for the hospitality. Don't be so polite, I'm just a maid after all. Lian ran, from a distance, holding a small gift box, called out to everyone, I have prepared some snacks for while you work. Several men were eating and praising, very satisfied with today's banquet. Lian ran, Shuang Yan, steward, they are all wonderful people. Deserving of respect. Another person interjected, that's right, the cooking skills are even better than the head chef's. Quite good as well. Nam Gung-yang pondered for a moment, to be able to gather such exceptionally rare slaves and even receive goodwill, the elder sisters are indeed remarkable. Suddenly, a burly man appeared beside Nam Gung-yang and sat down next to him, not forgetting to exclaim, oh wow. Upon seeing Nam Gung-yang, he joyfully said, what brings you here, my lord? I never expected to meet the noble lord here. The vice strategist looked somewhat bewildered at him, this person is. I remember now. Nam Gung-yang looked in surprise at the man who was greeting him, isn't this the legendary expert? The one who once stood at the top of the martial world, the sect master of Shaolin, who was the representative of the martial world of Zhongyuan, Ba Zuni Chan, the precept-breaking monk great master. After losing an arm, the man was rumored to have left Shaolin in a psychological shock. He went out, slaughtering anyone who dared to obstruct him, and then vanished without a trace. Now he was sitting here, at the Nam Gung clan, calmly tidying up the garden. Nam Gung laughed heartily and politely responded. We just stopped by here for a meal. He nodded in approval, the food here is indeed very delicious. Then he bowed and said, Vice Strategist Lord only came here to have a meal, I think that's too much, it's truly disrespectful. Shuang Yan stepped forward, her voice full of anger, Glutton Lord, you've already eaten 3 bowls and are pretending not to eat anymore, what are you sitting there for? Many people haven't even tasted a drop of wine yet. Nam Gung-yang was startled and quickly said, don't make this person angry. Elder sister, if he really gets angry, it will be very dangerous. He foolishly smiled and replied, I already said, I'm not Glutton Lord. Shuang Yan teased, eat another bowl, and I will prepare more snacks and late-night food for you. The people here really make it hard for him to predict, huh? Shuang Yan quietly said to him, oh, steward has something to discuss with you. The man, upon hearing this, looked panicked, huh? What does he want to discuss with me? Shuang Yan explained, when Lian Ran encountered some thugs at the main market, you helped her. That's what I meant. I prepared this meal to thank you. Moreover, isn't it said that his strength is very formidable? It's hard for an ordinary person to remain calm when facing thugs. He flushed, shouting loudly, that's right, what else does she want to say to me? Some people around were eagerly listening, could it be? Shuang Yan laughed heartily, winking at him, the rest is a secret. The senior looked disappointed, his face drooping sadly. Everyone around was too familiar with this scene, all laughing and mocking him, I knew it, just look at how he hoped. Someone shouted, he got rejected. As the head of the martial world, being humiliated like this made the senior very angry, his face turning red, filled with evil energy. You. The rage in his hands surged, are you looking down on me because I only have one arm? Suddenly, a steward appeared behind him, uncle. She reassured everyone is eating. Please don't make noise, just eat. And for these uncles, I will get you all an extra chicken leg. Please wait a moment. The vice strategist felt enlightened this time. He suddenly realized something, these servants. But the martial masters didn't care about me at all. Without strength or martial arts, I never expected to be so obedient. If the master were to meet the elder sisters, he might just faint. Nam Gung-yang suddenly remembered something, wait a minute. He thought to himself, isn't this a perfect opportunity? A person once called a dragon, a person once called a monster, a person once called a king, a person once called a lord. Looking at the group enjoying their meal, Nam Gung-yang thought, there are a total of 50 people like this, a suitable number to form an army. His gaze suddenly showed a hint of worry. Those who cannot stay in one place have gathered here thanks to the elder sisters. They have just eaten their fill and can take home gifts. Who wouldn't like that? The group laughed heartily. A man seeing the steward happily called out to her, "This stew is so delicious that I can't leave Nam Gung." A chubby guy next to him slurped the soup to the last drop and loudly said, "Some have never eaten it before, while others have eaten it more than once." The steward heard and chuckled, "You are just joking." The atmosphere was truly exhilarating. The opportunity has arrived. Nam Gung-yang resolutely clenched his fists, "I cannot miss this perfect chance." He envisioned a mighty army that he would have in the future, to present to his master. "Young master, please wait for me, I will gather the forces for you, so they stand before you awaiting your orders." Actions speak louder than words. Nam Gung-yang confidently raised his voice, sounding as melodious as a bird, showcasing his nobility. As if following a prepared script, Nam Gung-yang laughed heartily, "Ladies and gentlemen here, the vice-strategist of Nam Gung has something to say to you. I know your past well." Ba Zun, just putting a piece of meat into his mouth, looked at the vice-strategist with a guarded gaze. Indeed, he has come here with a purpose. Nam Gung-yang respectfully clasped his hands in greeting, fully aware of what they thought of him. His face grew serious. "I want you all to become followers of the little young master, I hope you will agree." Ba Zun casually picked his nose, relieved, "You've made me unnecessarily tense." But immediately after, he bluntly refused, "Sorry, you have the wrong person." Then he turned away, discreetly snapping his fingers, his voice full of determination, "We no longer care about the martial world." Nam Gung-yang could not hide his surprise. "Huh? What?" After a moment, the others burst into laughter. Some calmly replied, "You've asked the wrong person, you should go somewhere else, vice-strategist." Nam Gung immediately thought of a strong tactic, a sinister smile appearing on his lips. "If you are no longer interested, shouldn't you all go back to your hometown or up to the mountains? Why come to Nam Gung and run errands here?" Indeed, there was a guilty conscience, as some seniors next to him exchanged awkward glances, stammering, about that. One man, unable to keep his composure, shouted loudly, "Because we have lost." The atmosphere became tense, everyone's faces drooping like spoiled buns. They sadly lowered their heads, feeling the humiliation of a shameful defeat. Nam Gung-yang was still astonished. Is it really that simple? Ba Zun could not forget that day when he fought against Nam Gung-han. He still recalled the sword from that day, fearfully saying, "Caught in the sword." Nam Gung-yang sighed helplessly. He scoffed lightly, "I may not fully understand, but I get it to some extent." He immediately remembered his master. Hadn't Nam Gung-yang once feared him like he feared a ghost? He shyly recounted, "I have also been disappointed dozens, hundreds, thousands of times because the shadow of the master is too large. Now, what is important for you is to break the sword that haunts you. As a strategist, I believe there is no other way." Nam Gung-yang stepped in front of Ba Zun, looking regretful. "Please forgive me, I must take my leave." Saying this, he took the gift box he had brought along and walked away with confidence. Nam Gung-yang thought to himself, "The world's #1 Nam Gung-yang will not easily step back, I will definitely find another way." Seeing Nam Gung-yang sadly leaving, Lian Ran hurriedly chased after him, calling out, "Vice-strategist, are you leaving?" Nam Gung-yang suddenly thought of another plan. He thought, "Indeed, now is the time. Saying it well is better than just saying it." He immediately took on a pitiful role, his eyes reddening as he nodded, "Yes, I have urgent matters, so I must leave first." His gaze simultaneously showed a hint of coldness, accompanied by ferocity. "I will evoke the sympathy of the elder sisters and make them stand by my side." Lian Ran, feeling sad, said, "But you haven't finished your meal yet." Nam Gung-yang pressed the gift he had brought into Lian Ran's hand. He said, "It's okay, this isn't worth much, please accept my sincerity." Before Lian Ran could react, the vice-strategist turned and walked away from the restaurant sadly. "I take my leave." Lian Ran noticed something was off on the face of the vice-strategist she cherished, which made her feel sad. What's wrong with him? He doesn't look happy. She immediately went to Ba Zun, who was munching on a chicken leg. "Uncle, what's wrong with the vice strategist?" He looked at her innocently while eating, shaking his head. "Nothing special, other than the fact that we rejected the vice strategist's proposal." Before he could finish his sentence, a cold wave rushed in from behind. A delicious bowl of soup was suddenly lifted off the table in anger by someone. Ba Zun was startled, his eyes wide in surprise. Lian Ran seemed to transform into a different person. She was furious and confronted him. "Why?" Ba Zun, frightened to the core, stammered, "Lian Ran, this. Look at this." The mysterious box slowly opened before everyone's astonished eyes, revealing dozens of precious pearls that sparkled like pure gold. Every time the vice strategist comes to dine, he always brings a special gift. Ba Zun's eyes shone brightly as if he had just found a treasure, as he gazed passionately at the object in the girl's hand. Lian Ran sighed, "The gentle vice strategist is only asking for a small favor, it must be a very simple task." Ba Zun continuously apologized, I'm sorry. Gradually, everyone began to notice the glimmering object in Ba Zun's hand. They were also drawn to that strange item. The person who recognized the treasure immediately ran over, joyfully exclaiming, "Isn't this the elegant pill?" A curious man interjected, "What's so frightening about this?" The other person replied angrily, "How foolish. Don't you know how precious it is? There are a total of how many pills that the great immortal spent a lifetime creating, and one of them is the elegant pill. To eliminate impurities from the body, you must at least reach the realm of bone transformation and fetus acquisition, but just by taking this elegant pill, you can completely cleanse your body." After hearing the explanation, the crowd felt as if they had struck gold, shouting, "Treasure, treasure." Shuang Yan also curiously ran over to take a look. She gazed longingly at the precious pearls, saying, "I have 20 of these in my room, if you need them, I can bring one for each of you any day." This group of people was taken by surprise. "What? The elegant pill is not that common." Huaya walked by calmly and said, "I've had enough of this stuff. The one you brought last time was better, what was it called again?" Before she could finish her sentence, the others stuttered in fear, "Minor rejuvenation pill, enhances internal energy." With the appearance of the treasure, the atmosphere gradually became tense. People whispered among themselves, knowing that the vice strategist is an influential person in the Nam Gung clan, we didn't expect him to be so formidable as to gift a precious treasure to a maid. The rumors quickly spread, if that's the case, then the previous offer doesn't seem bad after all. Nam Gung Yang secretly peeked at them through the crack in the door, a sinister smile creeping on his lips. When the vice strategist takes action, it's bound to succeed, never to fail. This time I can go back with ease, I must find a way to win them over. 3 days later, the Soa strolled leisurely. Fortunately, my brother's proposal has been postponed. He angrily rolled up his sleeves to find the vice strategist. Where the hell is that bastard Nam Gung Yang? I'll take this opportunity to beat him up so he won't act crazy again. Suddenly, a noise in the forest caught the Soa's attention. He stopped, slowly observing the situation. It seems like someone is hiding behind that tree. Unexpectedly, an old man with lightning-fast reflexes rushed in, slashing with his sword in a flurry of strikes, causing the tree to shake violently. What was even more remarkable was the old man's speed, as if he were flooring the accelerator, his swordplay more agile than a seasoned expert. In the blink of an eye, 3 trees were neatly trimmed. After that, the old man gently landed behind him. Looks like the job is done. The old man was Meng Kong, the gardener in the estate. The Soa, astonished, spoke up, was it really necessary to be so domineering just to trim some trees? Meng Kong turned to look at the boy, saying nothing. At that moment, the Soa realized to ask, "Uncle, do you know martial arts?" Meng Kong calmly replied, "I have to know, right?" The Soa laughed loudly, pointing at him, "You're not skilled at all." Meng Kong was taken aback, speechless, "What?" Then a bit angry, he said, "Me?" The Soa took out a large watermelon and said, "That's right, I think I can tell that your martial arts are from Wu Dang, but you practice them too superficially." Meng Kong tried to control his anger. The sword in his hand trembled with his breath. Dare to speak of the supreme ultimate sword king like that? Meng Kong stepped closer, his eyes filled with fury as he stared at the Soa. "Little guy, what nonsense are you talking about?" he asked coldly. The Supreme Ultimate Sword King was once the leader of Wu Dang, the senior brother of the current sect master of Wu Dang. After being defeated by Nam Gung Han, he left Wu Dang. No, to be precise, he was expelled for causing a disturbance due to drunkenness and destroying the ancestral hall. Since then, he vowed that no matter how angry he got, he would not act recklessly. Meng Kong silently looked down at the boy with a dazed expression. If this were in Wu Dang, all the first-generation disciples, including the sect master, would have already hit this kid on the head together. He never expected that a weak and timid kid like him would dare to criticize his martial arts. Desua gently clapped his hands, forming a blade shape, and said softly. So when pruning trees, you shouldn't use your martial arts clumsily. Cut only what needs to be cut. If anything happens, only you will get hurt. You've heard what the Du family said, right? Meng Kong didn't bother to listen to what he was saying. He is immersed in his own world. In this small yard, you can't cause a ruckus. This arrogant brat, could he really be the youngest master of the Nam Gung clan? After a while, Desua said goodbye to him and left. Well, I'm off then. I haven't slept for 3 days, and I'm really sleepy now. Anyway, be careful not to get hurt. Meng Kong suddenly called out, wait, what did you see that makes you think my martial arts are clumsy? Desua sighed and replied, just looking, it's obvious that it's clumsy, isn't it? Meng Kong was unconvinced, pointing to the neatly trimmed trees. Where's the clumsiness? Indeed, the row of trees was perfectly trimmed, with no gaps at all. Overall, these trees are pruned very neatly. But Meng Kong still asked, in your opinion, isn't it? Desua nodded, yes, not only clumsy but also ineffective. This brat really made Meng Kong frown. He tried to suppress his anger, important things should be repeated 3 times. I must endure, I must endure, I must endure. This kid doesn't understand anything. He can't grasp how profound the implications of these trimmed trees are. Swords are divided into 2 types, life swords used to save lives and death swords used to take lives. As a Taoist of Wu Dang, my sword has always sought the life sword throughout my life. It's understandable, this little kid cannot comprehend the essence of Wu Dang. Desua gazed at the tree in contemplation. Even if one is an elder of the Nam Gung clan, they may not understand this realm. Desua casually reached for a small branch and held it out in front of him. Trimming a tree is the task of removing excess, but your trimming has left nothing out. He shook it, causing the branches to fall to the ground. Therefore, while it may look complete from the outside, just a slight shake like this will break the weak branches. Meng Kong thought differently and loudly rebutted, I intentionally let them live. Isn't it better to leave everything as it is? Desua smiled at him, if this were in nature, then yes, that would be true. He pointed to a bird perched nearby. Because there will be insects or animals that use these branches for something, but this is within the Nam Gung clan, where not only ordinary people but even insects and animals do not exist. This is a place where no creature dares to venture. Therefore, humans must eliminate the weak branches for the tree to grow well. Meng Kong was confused, water flows from top to bottom, the strong dominate the weak. Desua cheerfully asked, what would happen if everything were fair? Meng Kong immediately replied, isn't that great? Everyone would live well equally. Desua tried to suppress a laugh, do you really think so? On the contrary, there would be competition again, and a new order would emerge. And in the process of creating that new order, countless innocent lives would have to be sacrificed. Meng Kang's gaze suddenly wavered, perhaps he did not expect such profound thoughts from a child of this age. Desua calmly continued, therefore, getting rid of the weak is good for the remaining ones. It is necessary to create order. By the way, do you know about techniques? In a technique, there is usually a part that is mysterious. The remaining parts of the technique are all actions to prepare for that mysterious part. If all 3 parts of the technique are heavily mysterious, what will that technique become? Meng Kong pondered for a moment and then spoke, if so, that technique will lose its value, merely becoming a meaningless repetition of an action. Desua nodded in agreement. That's right. Then, he quickly performed a few fluid movements, filling in the gaps with feigned techniques and trimming the excess parts. Desua skillfully displayed his martial arts in front of the senior, as if trying to create a technique with a natural flow. The energy flared up around him, and the end of that path was a brilliant light illuminating the entire garden. Meng Kong blinked, seemingly captivated by Desua's demeanor. At that moment, Meng Kong felt small before Desua's towering presence, as if facing a bodhisattva. Meng Kong suddenly realized the mystery he had once harbored, just a glance could sense the supreme ultimate aura from the pruned branches. Desua attentively observed the tree in front of him, but if you keep going like this, you will exhaust yourself. Meng Kang's eyes widened, his breath beginning to quicken. 10 years ago, when I lost, Nam Gung Han also said something like that. It took me a full 10 years to understand the meaning of those words. I never expected to hear similar words from this kid today. Could it be that the answer I seek lies with him? Meng Kong mumbled, unsure of what to do. Suddenly, a familiar voice rang out from behind, "Found it, kid." He was angry for being disturbed and turned to glare at the approaching figure. But upon closer inspection, it turned out to be someone he knew. Li Han, the divine doctor, stepped forward with an angry expression, clenching his fists and rushing towards Desua. "You brat, do you know how long I've been looking for you?" Li Han grabbed Desua and pulled him along. The divine doctor shouted as he walked, "Hurry up, I need to take your pulse." Desua yawned widely and explained, "I'm too sleepy, so I'm on my way to bed." Meng Kong stood alone, watching the two figures. He glanced back at the row of trees he had just tended to and thought to himself, I really might have overdone it. Ba Zun suddenly appeared and asked, "What are you doing standing here?" He looked after Li Han, wondering, isn't that the divine doctor? I never thought I would encounter him like this. Suddenly, Meng Kong spoke up, "I have found the answer I have been looking for all this time." As soon as he finished speaking, Ba Zun was left stunned, not understanding what his old friend was talking about. A moment later, Desua had just arrived home and fell into a deep sleep, snoring soundly on the bed. Li Han sat beside him, looking at him with a cheerful expression. He thought to himself, unlike before, the tendons and bones have returned to their proper position, the bleeding symptoms have gradually diminished, and recovery is underway. It will live a comfortable life without the worries of illness like a truly healthy person. However, he still felt uneasy. If I didn't know it had suffered from blood qi damage, even I, a divine doctor, wouldn't have noticed and would have overlooked it. Now, the body of heavenly martial arts has completely taken over. Li Ran gently entered Desua's room, anxiously asking, "It has been sleeping for 2 consecutive days, could something be wrong?" Li Han continued with acupuncture, calmly responding, "No, it is still healthy. Worrying is unnecessary." Suddenly, a strange fragrance spread throughout the room. Li Han took a deep breath and suddenly realized, this smell, could it be the elegant pill? This is not suitable for a maid's status. He remembered Nam Gung Yang, that's right, it is clear that the Nam Gung clan has hidden it somewhere. After a moment of hesitation, Li the divine doctor also left, secretly thinking that perhaps he had made a mistake. As soon as he finished speaking, Shuang Yen slowly took out an elegant pill, put it in her mouth, and handed another one to Li Ran. "The snacks are almost gone." She asked. "Should we ask Vice Strategist to get a little more?" Li Ran nodded in agreement, "Go ahead and ask." That evening, Desua finally woke up. He strolled around the residence, lazily observing everything, his face clearly showing fatigue. After a long sleep, he sighed, "I just stepped out of the 10,000 Studies library and was dragged from place to place. I'm so tired, even after sleeping for 2 days, I still feel sleepy." As he passed through the bamboo forest, he stretched, "I need to take a walk for a bit." But Desua did not expect that someone was hiding behind a rock, watching his every move. Suddenly, the rustling of leaves made him stop in his tracks. Noticing something unusual, he glanced over and discovered someone was following him. Desua shouted, "Who's there?" Ba Zun slowly stepped out from the bamboo forest, praising, "Well done, you can recognize me." Desua was surprised and pointed at him, suddenly feeling a chill, "That's really scary. We aren't close enough to meet like this in the middle of the night, are we?" Ba Zun quickly explained, "After asking the maidens, I found out you were here. I've been waiting for you for 2 days, but since you were sleeping, I couldn't meet you. Therefore, we can only do this." Desua gasped, "Wait, you want me to wait for 2 whole days?" His eyes suddenly narrowed, and he looked up to ask, "Wait a minute." He pointed at Ba Zun, puzzled, "Are you a martial artist?" Ba Zun nodded, "Oh, can you sense it? I've hidden my internal energy quite perfectly, haven't I? Desuo thought for a moment, then stepped back in shock, fearfully saying, could it be that you are a bandit? Ba-Zun shook his head, rebutting, you shouldn't compare me to those fools. Desuo sighed in relief, sat down on a nearby wooden bed, and comfortably looked at Ba-Zun. Thank goodness, no matter where you come from, I don't care. Even if you are a mountain bandit, I won't say anything. He lightly patted the chair, inviting him to sit down to relieve his tired legs. Ba-Zun suddenly lowered his voice, pointing at Desuo and threatening, aren't you afraid I'll assassinate you? Desuo sighed in amusement, if you were dangerous, the maidens wouldn't have told you where I was. Ba-Zun laughed and sat down next to Desuo, this strange kid. The two sat in silence, gazing at the sky, each lost in their own thoughts. A gentle breeze blows, the bamboo leaves rustle softly, creating a peaceful scene. Ba-Zun spoke softly, indeed, then comfortably lay down on the large bed, laughing heartily, it's very comfortable here, just as you said. Desuo reminded him, I didn't tell you to lie down. Ba-Zun looked at him with dissatisfaction and instinctively sat up. He coughed a few times and admitted, after all, I am a person from the martial world. I used to be a great man, a great emperor, at a level you can hardly imagine. Desuo eagerly asked, how do you compare to my father? Ba-Zun blushed and retorted, besides him, you are the most ungrateful person. Desuo chuckled, I was just joking. Ba-Zun hugged his left arm and said seriously, I once fought your father and was utterly defeated, I lost an arm. Desuo naturally felt tears welling up, I don't know why, but I understand that feeling. What he just said surprised him a bit. Ba-Zun awkwardly rubbed his head, what? Do you pity me for losing an arm? Desuo wiped away his tears with his hand, shaking his head. Desuo bowed his head, tears silently falling, his heart filled with indescribable emotions, you must have gone through a lot of hardships. Ba-Zun was picking his nose while nodding his head. Desuo suddenly grabbed his hand, feeling a surge of doubt, could this kid, with his tear-streaked face and runny nose, be the one hiding in the Nam-Gung clan to seek revenge? My father really is someone who only knows martial arts, a hard-headed and conservative man. Ba-Zun felt embarrassed, his face flushed, and turned away, unable to look directly. Desuo suddenly had an idea, if you truly want revenge, there is only one way. Although Ba-Zun was not interested, he still curiously asked, what is it? This guy may be young, but he's really cocky. Desuo chuckled lightly, the way is, if you can live to be 130 years old, then you can defeat my father. No one can stand against age. Desuo pretended to ponder, looking up at the sky, advising Ba-Zun, give it up. If you give up, you will feel more at ease. Usually, he thought that regression could achieve everything, but whether it was regression or reincarnation, nothing really changed. In the past, he had been stabbed in the stomach, so seeking revenge against the Nam-Gung clan and the brothers seemed absurd. Desuo stood alone, sighed, thinking he should go back to pruning the trees instead. Ba-Zun immediately turned and left in panic. Suddenly, he stopped and unleashed his power. Waves of fiery energy spread throughout the forest. A beam of golden light appeared, and Ba-Zun roared, I have spent a decade realizing something so simple. Desuo was almost scared enough to run away. The angrier Ba-Zun became, the more his power erupted. He was like a gigantic flame, radiating bright red light. It was as if he had achieved enlightenment, telling himself, that's right, if I give up, I will feel more at ease. Ba-Zun's eyes shone brightly like lights in an auditorium. He resembled a colossal deity, filled with mysterious strength. Desuo stood cowering in a corner, watching Ba-Zun unleash his power, silently thinking, the benevolent Shaolin. Ba-Zun embodied kindness and was clearly a renowned great master of the martial world. He clasped his hands and walked away. Desuo asked in surprise, have you learned the martial arts of Shaolin? Ba-Zun smiled gently and nodded, Amitbao. He reminded, please convey my message to the vice strategist. If I survive and return, I will accept his proposal. After that, Ba-Zun flicked his robe and left, saying, then I will take my leave now. Desuo was still in shock. He hurriedly called out, wait, it seems you intend to take revenge on my father. What if we let everything flow peacefully as it is now? Ba-Zun's eyes showed determination. Did you not say that if you give up, it would be more comfortable? Now I am going to give up here. Desua, confused, rubbed his head. What I meant was not to give up this life. Before he could say more, Ba Zun had vanished, leaving only his voice echoing, then, we will meet again in the future. Desua sighed, looking up at the stars in the sky, wondering, will there really be a future? Thinking back, he questioned again, what else does that vice strategist want to do? Ba Zun had come to find Nam Gung Han. He appeared in front of the Nam Gung family master's residence, looking up at the solemn sign, thinking to himself, when we meet again, I will formally greet you. And he was curious, I wonder what the world you create will be like. Meng Kong had already appeared beside Ba Zun, gently asking, as I said, meeting the youngest master is great, isn't it? Ba Zun nodded and laughed heartily, indeed. The two of them stepped forward together, confidently entering the enemy's assembly hall. Meng Kong said, come on, let's go together. The invisible shackles of the Nam Gung clan have been tightly bound to them, these are the chains that have restrained them for the past 10 years. Meng Kong and Ba Zun strode in boldly, encountering Nam Gung Han. Ba Zun confidently spoke, Amitba, it has been over 10 years since we last met like this. Today, we have come to challenge you. Meng Kong made a request, Buddha of infinite light, can the two of us join forces? Nam Gung Han slowly stood up, his cold voice resonating, alright, if it's two of you, then you do have the right to challenge me. He wielded the divine weapon, each step exuding an imposing aura, as if a single footfall could crush his opponents. You must have your answer by now, so what does this duel with me mean to you? Meng Kong stood firm against the overwhelming pressure, resolutely replying, right now, I am just a tree pruner, but no matter what, I am still a part of the martial world, and therefore, I am determined to come here to challenge you. Ba Zun also spoke up, how could I come to see you without enough determination? Nam Gung Han's gaze swept over the two, a hint of surprise flickering in his eyes. He realized they had changed. Why have you changed? Ba Zun glanced at him. In response, if we win, we will tell you the reason. Nam Gung Han burst into loud laughter, his voice full of excitement, interesting. The three immediately charged at each other, divine weapons erupting in a flurry, countless streams of light intertwining, carrying with them a sense of death. A loud explosion rang out, shaking the entire auditorium, flames erupting. As the smoke cleared, Meng Kong and Ba Zun had vanished, leaving only two deep pits in the corridor. Nam Gung Han looked at them with eyes full of intrigue, hit once. Indeed, the two had been beaten to a pulp, their limbs torn and battered, in so much pain that they could not stand up by themselves. Nam Gung Han coldly asked, so, what is the reason? Meng Kong laughed heartily, you know, right? You've changed too. Nam Gung Han still did not understand, suspiciously asking, why? Ba Zun gently replied, look into our eyes and you will see the reason. We have changed just like you must have realized that by now, right? Nam Gung Han immediately thought of his son, Desua. His expression gradually changed, muttering, I have changed. In the end, Meng Kong and Ba Zun could no longer withstand their internal injuries and collapsed, fainting. Nam Gung Han was originally a bloodthirsty man. He once again gathered his strength to prepare for an attack. Suddenly, his gaze changed, Nam Gung Han withdrew his divine power, and his arms slowly lowered. He realized to himself, perhaps I have changed. Looking back, Meng Kong and Ba Zun had fainted on the spot, completely unaware. More interesting things are happening. The next morning, in a small room behind the mansion, Desua quietly entered, what are you sisters doing there? Lian Ran was startled and turned around, what brings you here, young master? Desua presented a small gift, giggling, please accept this little pill, the head maid told me that you sisters always take care of and help me, and I thought I would come by to greet the two of you in the room. Lian Ran was touched and began to cry softly. Desua walked over to the sickbed, his eyes widening in surprise as he recognized the two familiar faces, why are you two here? Meng Kong and Ba Zun covered their faces and sighed. Desua also noticed something unusual and clapped his hands in praise, I'm glad both of you survived and returned. Meng Kong glanced at him, annoyed, it sounds like you wanted us to be dead. Desua, somewhat frightened, stepped back, now I understand. Aren't those two looking for death? The two men hesitated. That's true, but it's really quite lucky. Lian Ran slowly approached and asked in surprise, "Young master, do you know them?" Desua looked at the two men and nodded, "Yes, let's say so." Then, he asked Lian Ran to step outside for a moment, his voice becoming urgent, "I have something to discuss with these two stubborn old men." When the maids left, Meng Kong and Ba Zun slowly sat up, their bodies aching all over. Desua quickly got to the point, "Now, tell me why you two are still here." Meng Kong looked around, hesitating, "I'm old, I can't remember clearly anymore." Desua's smile gradually lost its humanity, "Then we must make you remember." Desua brought up the past, inquiring about the appearance of sect master Wu Dang and abbot Shaolin Temple. Upon hearing this, the two men were startled and frightened. Desua pretended to whistle casually, then suddenly declared, "There are two rats hiding in the Nam Gung clan." Meng Kong immediately jumped out of bed, while Ba Zun cried without tears, pledging to tell the whole truth. In Meng Kang's heart, there was bitterness as he thought about being defeated by Nam Gung Han, losing the position of sect master and now being discovered as a servant in his house. This bizarre situation left him quite surprised. Looking over at Ba Zun, he was even more agitated, his hands clenched and trembling, sitting motionless. Meng Kong anxiously advised, "If you do that, I'll lose my teeth from being beaten." Ba Zun was so upset he couldn't find the words. Desua continued to question, "What happened when you left Shaolin Temple that made you so flustered? Did you destroy the ancestral hall again?" Ba Zun admitted, "It was me." For the first time in his life, the master was so angry that he crushed the wooden tablet into powder. He sadly exclaimed, "I would rather be scolded by the master than this." His gaze seemed to emit fire. Desua finally understood the problem, thinking to himself, looking at their reactions, "I must have guessed correctly." Desua suspected that these two had learned martial arts improperly, perhaps stealing to escape the pursuit of Shaolin Temple and Wu Dang, which is why they fled to the Nam Gung clan. He demanded that they answer his questions accurately. Meng Kong whispered to Ba Zun, "Can't you smell the aura of righteousness from his body?" Ba Zun nodded and whispered back, "If it's this child, who knows, he might be able to defeat the monster we had given up hope of beating." Desua suddenly said, "The weather is nice, perfect for going home." Then he looked at them seriously and summarized the situation, "Previously, you two challenged my father, lost the battle, and then returned to Wu Dang causing a commotion, only to be caught and chased away by someone of higher status, right?" The two nodded in confirmation. Desua continued, "According to what you said, besides my father, you also fought against about 50 other people from Nam Gung, correct?" The two nodded again. Desua wondered, "But why do you two keep clinging to me like flies?" The other two were hit right in the heart, awkwardly scratching their heads, their actions somewhat resembling flies. Meng Kong whispered to Ba Zun, "Now we have nowhere else to go, so we have to help each other." Desua mocked, "You challenged my father and failed, got fired, and now you come to me to make me responsible." The two were cornered, and Meng Kong whispered, "He is right, isn't he?" Desua was so angry that his face turned red, but he still tried to remain calm. The Supreme Ultimate Sword King and the Precept-Breaking Monk are both powerful forces. That foolish vice strategist is even begging to become one of my people. It's a bit embarrassing to say. But we surely need some power to deal with the future. He looked at the two men and asked seriously, "I know you both are not ordinary people, but one cannot rely solely on intuition. If we want to maintain our power, we need money first. Do you have any money?" Meng Kong glanced at Ba Zun, who chuckled, "I spent it all on drinks." The two burst into laughter, innocently saying, "What's the big deal about money?" Desua felt angry and thought, "These two old men aren't officially part of the clan, don't even dream of getting financial support from them." Suddenly, his eyes changed in expression, shining with determination, "No, if you want to join me, you must pay an entry fee of 100 taels of silver. Of course, there will be rewards distributed monthly." Meng Kong suddenly became serious, looking directly at Desua, "Hey little young hero, it seems you are mistaken. The entry fee you mentioned is not ours." Desua was surprised, "Oh really? How do I compare to my father?" The two immediately shook their heads, "No, that's not it." Desua coughed a few times and smiled lightly, "Anyway, I am a person of conscience, as long as there is money, that's enough. If you give me money, I will help you adjust your martial arts." Meng Kong and Ba Zun lit up with excitement, "Really? Outside, the three were listening intently. Lian Ran pressed close to the door, mumbling, "This is getting more complicated by the day." Shuang Yan and Huaya also showed curiosity. How did those three get to know each other? Lian Ran looked down at her stomach, a rumbling sound echoed, "Could it be that I'm hungry?" The other two nodded in agreement. "Hearing you say that reminds me, I'm feeling hungry too." Lian Ran laughed heartily, "Then let's eat together." She opened the bag that Desua had given her. Inside were several sparkling elegant pills. Huaya was surprised. "Aren't these the ones the little young master gave? What if we eat them and later the young master asks for them back?" Lian Ran was at ease. "What's there to worry about? My room still has some, I can replace them. After all, this matter is still long, let's eat." Shuang Yan encouraged Huaya. "The divine doctor said that as long as you have a good sleep, there will be no problems when you wake up." Huaya nodded. "Really?" Just now, all the masters looked normal. The three of them simultaneously grabbed a few delicious elegant pills. "All right, eat it." Suddenly, a panicked shout echoed from afar. The three hurriedly put the elegant pills into their mouths. Li Han rushed over like a ghost, his face as red as a burning coal, shouting loudly, "Everyone stop right now." The other three were startled, looking at him in fear. Li Han snatched a few elegant pills away and, finally angry, asked, "This looks very familiar, could it be the elegant pill? How did you get it?" Lian Ran innocently replied, "I was given it." Li Han couldn't believe it. "Who gave it to you?" Just then, footsteps were heard, and a cheerful voice rang out, "Today you all are lucky." Nam Gung Yang appeared, holding the box containing the elegant pills, slowly walking over. Li Han angrily snatched the box from Nam Gung Yang's hands. When he opened it, he painfully realized there was only one elegant pill left. He trembled as he questioned, "Where did all the others go?" Nam Gung Yang calmly replied, "Of course, they were eaten." Li Han narrowed his eyes with an evil energy. "Do you even know what this is?" Nam Gung Yang laughed loudly, pointing at the box. "It's the elegant pill, it says so on the box." He teased, "You're already losing your eyesight. It is indeed old age." Li Han cried without tears, angrily looking up at the sky and growling. Then, he turned to Nam Gung Yang, with divine weapon blazing, his voice cold. "The elegant pill scent is also radiating from the maidens. How many pills have they eaten? 5, 7, or 10? Nam Gung Yang was startled, stammering, "Why are you like this?" Then he hurriedly said, "Ah, I understand, could it be that the divine doctor also wants to eat, which is why? If so, you should tell me, I will secretly give you one." Already angry, encountering a troublesome person, Li Han's eyes were red as blood, channeling evil energy to crush the box in his hand. Nam Gung Yang, in fear, ran away, shouting, "No, I said I would give it to you, why are you doing this to me? Desua, please save me." The sudden noise attracted the attention of the three people in the room. Desua curiously opened the door to check the situation, loudly asking, "Why is it so noisy outside?" Upon seeing Nam Gung Yang, whom he hadn't seen for a long time, with a tear-streaked face running over and calling out earnestly, "Young master." Desua had intended to find him, but upon seeing him appear, he immediately shouted, "What are you doing here?" Before he could finish his sentence, Nam Gung Yang hurriedly hid behind him, looking very frightened. Desua was even more surprised. "What is happening?" Li Han also stepped forward to inquire about the condition of Meng Kong and Ba Zun. The two seemed to still be conscious and immediately thanked Li Han. "Thank you, thanks to you we can rest comfortably." "But you should still rest for a few more days," Li Han advised. Meng Kong and Ba Zun shook their heads. "No need, we have urgent matters to attend to." Meanwhile, Yang was still clinging to his leg, while Desua just wanted to give him a beating. Li Han looked at Nam Gung Yang with eyes full of evil energy. "Then there's no other way, I have things to do too." Desua grinned wickedly. "Ah, I have grasped the situation." He handed Nam Gung Yang over to Li Han. "It seems you want to have a longer chat with him, right?" Li Han nodded, "Exactly." Then he grabbed Nam Gung by the collar and dragged him away. Nam Gung could only scream in despair, "Young master, please don't." Desua paid no attention. He turned to chat with the maidens. "You ladies go ahead. I need to talk to you two for a while longer before I can go to the sisters." After a moment, everyone left. The three of them walked to the bamboo forest behind the manor. Desua, as if already familiar with the path, led the way for them. This should be good enough. Please use any martial arts you know, and I will observe. If anything is amiss, I will let you know. Meng Kong gently drew his sword and accepted the command. The blade rose high into the air, a deadly aura gradually enveloping the surrounding space. Meng Kong followed the direction of the sword's movement, and the divine weapon shifted accordingly. He gracefully maneuvered the sword, performing fluid and elegant movements. The divine weapon emanated with great strength. Even a light stroke of the sword was enough for Desua to sense the impending death. A large amount of spiritual energy surged forth, pushing him back. A wave of spiritual energy brushed past his face, and he sensed it. Is that the wind? Ba Zun beside him said, "Are you serious?" Meng Kong seemed to have merged with the sword, unconcerned with the world around him as he moved the sword with gentle grace. The sword danced in the wind, directing itself toward where the breeze flowed, harmonizing with nature. His martial arts were based on this foundation. Ultimately, Meng Kang's swordsmanship reached the highest realm. Meng Kong was drenched in sweat, sighed with relief, and asked, "How was it?" Desua clapped his hands to signal, it was indeed quite good. Meng Kong suddenly felt confused, unsure if this was a compliment or criticism. Ba Zun and Meng Kong were somewhat annoyed that their skills were not recognized. They pointed at Desua, "No matter what, lying is bad, very bad. If it's about pride, just say it, you don't need to do this. We understand." Desua felt tense, thinking hard, what should I do? I really see it this way. To prove his words were true, Desua directly took the sword from Meng Kang's hand. "Give me the sword, and I will perform the same moves you just did." He stepped to a corner in front, and Meng Kong called out, "All right, if you can do it, then go ahead." Meng Kong laughed loudly, a smug expression clear on his face. Since childhood, he had spent decades honing his supreme ultimate skills to perfection. He understood that only someone deeply enlightened could wield the wisdom sword. Desua closed his eyes, focusing on sensing the soul of the sword. He recalled every movement, every gesture. The techniques that Meng Kong just demonstrated, then Desua brandished the sword forward, skillfully maneuvering the wisdom sword in the way Meng Kong had illustrated. At this moment, Meng Kong looked towards the little young master, his eyes wide open in astonishment. Indeed, Desua was exactly like him in the past. From the graceful movements of the sword rising and falling, swaying left and right, all were unmistakable. Ba Zun approached his friend and exclaimed, "Looks pretty good, huh?" Desua was still engrossed in moving with the sword. The first stance of the wisdom sword is gradually coming to an end. After firmly gripping the sword, Desua realized, this type of martial arts becomes stronger the more it is practiced. Now, he understood why the people of the martial world were willing to sacrifice their lives to obtain such extraordinary divine skills. Shall we dance the sword a bit more? Ba Zun suddenly realized something. Meng Kong beside him was so astonished that it felt like lightning had struck him. He witnessed the martial arts he had painstakingly honed over the years now being effortlessly replicated by a child. The sharp tip of the sword pierced through a falling leaf nearby, a surge of spiritual energy erupted, the second stance of the wisdom sword. Desua danced with his sword, demonstrating the fluidity of the blade that enveloped his body. His sword strikes were swift and decisive. His body soared, merging with the movements of the sword with each step, each swing, each thought. The leaves swayed in rhythm with him. While dancing, thoughts raced through his mind, "I don't want to stop here, I want to practice more." He reminded himself, just a little more, practice a bit more so those two old men can see. Inside Desua's body, a green seed was vibrating continuously, radiating a powerful energy. Ba Zun stared in astonishment, exclaiming, "Maybe after he finishes training, we'll have to go back to the sect and steal." He suddenly stopped and said, "That's enough, I can't think of anything else." He also reminded, "Don't act on your own, follow your instincts, understand? This technique is very suitable for the old man who prunes trees and steals from the Wu-Dang sect. The more you practice, the lighter and more comfortable your body becomes. That's why people in the martial world risk their lives for this technique. The supreme ultimate wisdom sword is not something stolen, right?" Desua's explanations opened Meng Kang's eyes, leaving him trembling. Suddenly, the old man shouted loudly, do you want to join me in opening the world's #1 martial arts school? His face lit up as if he had just found gold, eagerly grabbing Desua's hand and proposing, I will take responsibility and promote you to sect master. Ba Zun beside him also expressed his interest, Amitba, have you ever heard of the 1,000-year-old Shaolin? Do you want to help me turn Shaolin Temple into the world's #1 Buddhist sect? Desua pointed at the old man, try making a request, you once said those strange words, show me your martial arts. Hearing this, the old man shook his head vigorously in refusal, I won't. Seeing this, Desua waved his hand and turned to leave, then I'm off. If you bring 200 taels, I will teach you more. Think it over and come find me at the temple. Seeing him refuse, Ba Zun pondered, Meng Kong was robbed of the wisdom sword by this little guy, after seeing it, I can't easily reveal my techniques. He recalled the moves Desua had just displayed, puzzled, why do I feel the aura of the great master Bodhidharma from that child? Not allowing the old man to think further, Meng Kong, holding his sword, muttered as he walked, 200 taels, just 200 taels will do. This made Ba Zun panic and ask. Where are you going? He replied with a grim expression, I will go to the Wu Dang sect to steal, 200 taels will be enough, right? The old man helplessly shouted, have you lost your mind? Ba Zun patted his friend on the shoulder to comfort him, advising, the martial arts you have practiced your whole life can be mimicked by that little guy in just one try. Humph, you must be in shock. He has a rare talent in the world, just like a genius, but geniuses are very rare, so don't worry. Meng Kong seemed to ignore all the words said, looking sad, no, you don't understand. There is a story that can only be passed down to the heir of the wisdom sword. He suddenly recalled the master's words from long ago when the two stood on the grass. The master's voice called out, Meng Kong. At that time, he was still a young teenager, hurriedly responding, yes, master. The old master sighed, his voice full of disappointment, I took you as my disciple because I saw your talent, but you lack the character of a true martial master. Meng Kong blushed, scratching his head in apology, recently, I have been less impulsive, I will not fight with the junior brothers for no reason anymore, master. The master gently called his name, Meng Kong. He hurriedly replied, yes, master. The golden sunset enveloped the scenery, creating a tranquil atmosphere. The master continued, a true martial master never strikes another person. Then he slowly drew his sword, speaking gently, all right, now that you have become the heir of the wisdom sword, I will tell you the legend that is only passed down to the heir of this sword. The master began to demonstrate a martial stance, the sword creating swirling winds around it, leaving Meng Kong in awe with his mouth agape. The master advised, in the future, when your sword no longer has wind, the world will tremble beneath the blade of the martial path. At the end of the lesson, Meng Kong was still naive, not fully grasping the meaning, and exclaimed, well, master, when you wield the sword, there must be wind, right? The master smiled kindly, that's right, which is why it's called a legend. Returning to the present, Desua was walking down the street, his mind wandering, and he told himself, what martial path, the world will tremble under the name Nam Gung instead. He walked while whistling, leaving Meng Kong standing behind, thinking, I wonder if those old men who spent their lives practicing martial arts are naive, I should have asked for a higher price. Sometimes I can earn more than 200 taels. He regretfully watched Desua's retreating figure, filled with dissatisfaction, is there really no other way? I don't like him. Ba Zun, seeing this, pulled Meng Kang's hand and said as they walked, we can't go up the mountain to rob the kids. 200 taels is equivalent to 2 months of our work here, for an ordinary person, it would take 10 years. The only way to get that amount of money is to follow this plan. After hearing this, Meng Kong became excited, laughing loudly, damn it. Alright, let's go to him. Do you think I enjoy this? At Hui Jin Pavilion, a fierce argument was about to break out. A shout pierced the quiet atmosphere, who wrote the ledger yesterday? The servant timidly replied, sir, it was the one who wrote the last part. The vice palace master gritted his teeth in anger, it's him again, bring him here. How many times has he written the wrong name? How much did I sell yesterday that there was a mistake? Where is he? A hoarse voice from an old man rang out, you called me. The vice palace master roared, pointing and scolding, called me. You bastard, am I under your command? Even without the palace master's order. We can still chase you away, old man. The person speaking was Jiang Meng, but he seemed indifferent to the words of the vice palace master. He turned away sulkily, saying, "If you have nothing else, I will take my leave." The vice palace master shouted angrily, "Stop right there." Jiang Meng turned back, but the look in his eyes made the vice palace master freeze. He thought to himself, that gaze is terrifying. He lowered his voice, "If you feel tired, just tell me to take a break. Because of you, the accounts from yesterday have to be redone." Jiang Meng coldly replied, "I apologize for the mistake." This statement only enraged the vice palace master further. He slammed the table and pointed at Jiang Meng, "This cannot be resolved with just an apology. Starting tomorrow, you are to leave Huijin Pavilion." Jiang Meng widened his eyes and retorted, "Are you allowing me to leave here, palace master?" The vice palace master panicked, "I will persuade the palace master, hurry and leave this place." The old man countered, "Are you confident you won't regret it?" The vice palace master firmly asserted, "The only regret in my life is not realizing my wife was cheating on me and giving her money like that." At his confession, the old man laughed loudly, "Haha, that is indeed something to regret." The more he spoke, the more he made the vice palace master lose control. This old man still mocks the misfortunes of others. If it weren't for the orders of the palace master, I would have. Before he could finish speaking, Jiang Meng's expression turned serious, and a terrifying aura radiated from him. "I will take revenge for you. If it's money, there is nothing in this world that cannot be done." The vice palace master paid no attention to the old man's proposal. His face turned as red as a pepper, seemingly about to explode. He shouted loudly, "You don't even know where you will be, and you talk about avenging me? Right now, it's not even about your wife, it's about you. I'm about to die from anger. Get out of here immediately." The old man turned his back, trying to throw in one last remark, "What a pity. If the vice palace master's son were a little older, he could witness you collapse because of me. Causing a child to lose his father, even I feel guilty about it." With just simple words full of evil energy, the old man made the vice palace master so furious that he was foaming at the mouth, causing the servants to panic. "Vice palace master, please wake up. Doctor, hurry and find a doctor." They hurriedly carried the vice palace master away, continuously calling out, "Vice palace master, please wake up." After the group had disappeared, the old man smiled slyly and tossed a piece of paper onto the table. "I intended to send it directly to you, but it was too difficult. This is the final gift." On the paper it says, "The third house on the right in the outskirts of Gongsan County, Widow Y. The fat old man's wife is hiding there." After finishing his work, he clasped his hands behind his back, walking leisurely, wondering, "Where should I go now? Have I paid enough debts to the palace master, or should I go home?" In front of him, someone caught his attention. It was Ba Zun and Meng Kong. Ba Zun politely extended his hand, "Can you lend me 200 taels?" The old man replied, "I thought it was some beggar, that's all you need to borrow." Jiang Meng squinted, pondering, "There's no reason for these proud beggars to come here." The old man stroked his beard, a cunning smile appearing, "I can smell the strong scent of money here." Jiang Meng clasped his hands, his face serious, "So you need 200 taels to join the forces of the young master of the Nam Gung family." Meng Kong, irritated, extended his hand, "If you know, then lend it to us, we will pay you back later." As if guessing something, the old man smiled cunningly, "If you two join, then those under your command will also participate, about 50 people, right?" The question made Ba Zun anxious, and he thought to himself, "He can smell money, can't he?" Ba Zun recalled Jiang Meng's past, once called the King of Gold, the one who held the most money in Zhongyuan. As long as there was money, his parents, children, and wife would all be sold. A money-hungry person to the point of blindness could do anything. Jiang Meng spoke sarcastically, "Only 200 taels, and you want me to go get it? Raise the number, hurry and call all your lackeys here." His words left the two stunned. "What?" He confidently declared, 1,000 taels or 100,000 taels, I will decide after meeting the little young master. At De Sua's palace, a sharp sword soared into the sky. He was focused on practicing swordsmanship in the garden, while a few girls watched each graceful move. Huaya and Shuang Yan chatted while eating pastries. Shuang Yan casually asked, "You just arrived and started sword dancing, is something happening outside?" Huaya replied, don't you find it amazing? I thought martial arts didn't suit us because it is fierce, strong, and tough. But watching the young master wield his sword, I feel very peaceful. Li and Ran also joined the conversation with curiosity. Steward, is martial arts really that flexible? The old woman held 2 pastries, eating while responding, I've lived long enough to see many types of martial arts, but the young master's martial arts are a bit different. If it were that kind of martial arts, I would also want to practice it. The steward glanced towards the door, sensing something was about to happen. It seems someone is coming. The girls, not understanding what was happening, asked, oh, why did you say that? That premonition was indeed correct. Immediately, a group of tall, fierce-looking men kicked the door open and entered. Huaya and Lian Ran were startled, wondering, aren't the old uncles supposed to be working right now? Shuang Yan quickly rushed out to stop them. Stop. Why did you elders come here without notice? Meng Kong replied seriously and politely, we only come here if there's something to discuss. Moreover, the young master already knew about this beforehand. Shuang Yan responded, oh, really? Can you wait until the young master finishes his swordplay? He has been practicing for a while now. The noise around made Desua, who was closing his eyes to concentrate, feel uncomfortable, thinking to himself, why is it so noisy around here? The green seed inside him kept shaking. He was swinging his sword while saying, that's right, there were many people watching earlier, so I had to deliberately suppress my inner strength. Each stroke of his sword seemed to penetrate every muscle and cell. I can't use too much force, so this time I'll just let the inner strength come from my breathing. Suddenly, he opened his eyes wide and shouted, "Eh!" It was as if he could see and feel every stroke of his sword, and he couldn't help but be amazed. Clearly, before, my sword strokes were stuck at this point, but now I can see a new path. Resolving the confusion, Desua joyfully danced with his sword freely. So that's it, from this point I will need inner strength. The green seed inside him seemed to open a new level, transforming into a pink-red color. He laughed joyfully, ha ha, wonderful. That's right, this is my new dance, I will call it the Cloud Sword. Suddenly, Desua exclaimed, huh. Now he realized there were many people standing around him. Desua stood in the courtyard in front of many eyes that did not understand what was happening. He asked, everyone? Everyone's mouths were agape as if they couldn't believe their eyes. Desua calmly asked, why is everyone so panicked? Meng Kang's face turned beet red as he suddenly rushed over to confront him. You, what was that just now? His eyes were spinning, and he asked in a flurry, did you finish the first move and then go to the second? I'm very surprised, but that was definitely the wisdom sword I know. What on earth was that swordplay just now? Jiang Meng pushed the old man aside and reminded him, don't make a scene, step aside. The old man looked at Desua with sparkling eyes filled with the scent of money and confidently introduced himself, you are the Desua young master of the Nam Gung clan, right? Hello, I am Jiang Meng. At the formal greeting, Desua frowned and asked, huh? Who is that? This question left the old man embarrassed, speechless. Desua then ignored him and turned to Shuang Yan, asking, what are you all doing here? She replied, young master, they said they had an appointment with you. Desua shouted in denial, what the heck? I don't have any appointment at all. Since Meng Kong was still in shock, Ba Zun spoke up to reiterate, forgive me for coming here suddenly, but we really do have an appointment. You mentioned the membership fee. Don't you remember? Desua asked, puzzled, then repeated, the entrance fee. Is it really 100 taels? Seeing that he seemed to recall, Ba Zun confirmed, that's right. Upon hearing about money, he immediately quoted a price, so they all came here to pay the entrance fee to me. One person 100 taels, a total of 5,000 taels. Just looking at them, it's clear they are all beggars, how could they possibly come up with that much money? Jiang Meng stepped up to Desua and casually said, if it's money, I have enough. Desua still didn't recognize him and irritably asked, who are you to interfere in my business? Jiang Meng replied calmly, have you ever heard of the greatest world heaven bank? Last year, someone called me the best heaven bank in the world. This statement startled Desua, leaving him unsure how to react. He continued, I am the owner of that merchant guild. You have sent many interesting items to my heaven bank once a year. De Suo was astonished as he recalled that in his childhood, he had asked his sister to send those items to the greatest world heaven bank. Jiang Meng smiled slightly. Our heaven bank strictly adheres to confidentiality, everything you sent is kept secret. I will show you proof that I am trustworthy. With that, he pulled out a stack of golden banknotes and asked, let's see, is this enough? Everyone around was stunned by the enormous amount of money. Jiang Meng declared loudly, each ticket is worth 10,000 taels of silver, a total of 5 tickets. The statement struck De Suo like a bolt from the blue, leaving him dazed. His attitude changed instantly, he smiled brightly and eagerly invited, oh my, it is truly an honor to have a distinguished guest. It's scorching outside, please come in and rest. De Suo's rapid change surprised Shuang Yen and Lian Ran, who were standing beside him, and they whispered, our young master likes everything, but he loves money even more, he has been obsessed with money for a long time. Jiang Meng laughed heartily, haha, let's go inside first, I haven't said I would give you the money yet. De Suo softly flattered, then what do you need? The elder replied, do you know Nam Gungzheng? De Suo was surprised, Nam Gungzheng. Why is the elder mentioning him? Jiang Meng's expression turned cold, I want to take revenge on him. De Suo panicked, huh? His voice dropped, I want to see him beaten to a pulp, can you do that? If you agree to this deal, whether it's 50,000 taels or 100,000 taels, I promise to support you fully. De Suo flusteredly waved his hand, wait a minute. He looked around at the people, nervously asking, could it be that all the people here are those who stayed behind to take revenge on the Nam Gung clan? As soon as he finished speaking, the atmosphere suddenly became tense. Everyone's face was filled with a dark evil energy, as if harboring deep resentment. In the face of this scene, De Suo turned pale and could only sigh, it's all gone crazy. Suddenly, one of them spoke up, sounding annoyed, what did you just say? This left De Suo speechless, he covered his mouth with his hand and mumbled, oh, it was such a surprise that I accidentally blurted it out. However, he then thought, wait, why should I care about their gazes? Thinking it, he acted, shouting angrily while pointing, I say you're all crazy. So. Am I wrong? He looked at Ba Zun and Meng Kong for judgment, look at those old men, claiming they want revenge, but in the end, they were chased away. What a disgrace. Thinking everyone would be angry, to his surprise, they were not mad at all but burst out laughing. Crazy. That's right, we are crazy. De Suo, confused, said, stop laughing, what's wrong with you all? Have you all gone crazy? The people there had cried from laughing too hard. They wiped their tears and began to explain. That is the most comfortable statement we have heard recently. We can say that we have temporarily discarded what has been suppressed for decades. We feel relieved, please understand us. One person praised. De Suo, your wisdom sword is very good, truly commendable. The wisdom sword is indeed the wisdom sword, yet it has the thought to break that mold. It hasn't become worse but rather very beautiful. You have done something that everyone here has been unable to do for the past 50 years. That person then clasped their hands and bowed to Jiang Meng. Jiang Meng, I hope you can help by sending him 100 taels. Others saw this and followed suit, speaking in unison. Ba Long, Tam Ma, that Ma, Zhen Tian Jian. De Suo panicked, sweating profusely and exclaimed. What is going on? Ba Zun also clasped his hands. Ba Zun Chan. Meng Kong spoke sternly. Supreme Ultimate Sword King, Meng Kong. And everyone bowed respectfully and shouted before Jiang Meng. We hope you, Jiang Meng, can help, but please transfer 100 taels to him. De Suo felt dizzy and overwhelmed by everything happening. Hey, wait a minute. Jiang Meng turned around, clasped his hands respectfully, and asked for his opinion. Dear third young master of the Nam Gung family, can you accept our presence? De Suo, feeling awkward and unsure of what to do, said, everyone is misunderstanding, I have no intention of taking revenge on anyone, nor do I have the strength to do so. But everyone immediately countered, in the sword dance of the young master, we saw it clearly. De Suo gasped, that was just a dance, what did you see? Meng Kong stepped forward and replied seriously, no, what you just performed was not just a sword dance, it was the supreme ultimate wisdom sword. The old man nodded, his expression serious. Desuo, surprised, pointed at himself and asked, "Huh? You mean the supreme ultimate wisdom sword, the most powerful sword technique of Wu Dang, is what I just performed?" Seeing Desuo still confused, Ba Zun took action. He stepped aside and threw a powerful punch, creating a gust of wind that made Desuo's hair fly. He asked in a stern voice, "Can you do the same? If so, please use your inner strength." Desuo did not hesitate, gathered his energy, and threw a punch. Immediately, the wall in front of him exploded. Desuo was astonished, unable to believe his eyes. "What is this?" He looked at the destroyed wall. Then he asked, "What is that?" Ba Zun stroked his chin and exclaimed, "Wonderful, what you just did is the 100-step divine fist." Desuo, still puzzled, asked, "Huh? What is that?" Suddenly, he pointed at a person holding a sword and said, "Hey uncle, show us your moves, anything will do." The person nodded and drew his sword. A strong gust of wind appeared as if created by the blade, and he soared high with the wind. Desuo did not hesitate, drew his own sword, and also flew up gracefully like a feather. Everyone clapped and cheered. He landed amidst the astonishment and praise of the crowd. However, Desuo felt dizzy from performing too many moves at once. He thought to himself, "I really did it." Ba Zun laughed loudly, "Indeed, a rare outstanding talent." Desuo recalled the sword moves he had just performed, wondering, maybe it's because I only learned the basics. He widened his eyes, secretly thinking, "Is it true that you created the 3-talent swordsmanship to master all swordsmanship?" And it seemed he had understood everything. Jiang Meng happily clapped, "On a beautiful day like today, how can we not have some wine? Today, we are inviting drinks, and everyone can eat and drink freely." Immediately, the servants brought in food one after another, and the atmosphere became lively like a festival. However, Desuo was the only one who waved his hand in dismay, saying, "I am still too young to drink alcohol." That evening, everyone joyfully ate, drank, and chatted. Everyone was relaxed, laughing and celebrating good news. Suddenly, a voice called out, "Uncle." It turned out to be Desuo. He respectfully poured wine for the elder to express his gratitude, saying, "Thanks to you, everyone is happy today. Let me toast you a glass." The elder laughed heartily, "Ha. Alright, the wine poured by the young master must be good." Taking the opportunity, Desuo sat down and asked, "Why do you want to take revenge on the elder of the Namgung?" The elder pondered before replying, "I wonder if the young master has ever had so much money that you couldn't count it all." Jiang Meng recounted an old story. "One day I woke up with a fortune of gold that was too much to count. After realizing this, I found the world to be quite boring. During my time as a merchant, I was bullied by those from the martial world. Since then, I resolved to spend money like water." Desuo was confused, "Spend money like water?" The elder reminisced about the past. Speaking slowly, he said, "I have bought many rare treasures, legendary armor, legendary swords, and legendary hidden weapons. Anything related to legends, I have purchased. I spent an enormous, uncountable amount of money, and in the end, I became impoverished." A group from the martial world approached, and the crowd gathered to watch, curiously asking, "What happened next?" Old memories surfaced one by one, images of him wielding a sword and defeating each opponent. "I once faced them. Of course, the initial ones that came were not very strong, with just a few moves, I could easily defeat third-rate experts." He continued, "The third-rate fighters and ordinary people are not much different, only those from second-rate and above are truly considered part of the martial world. After all, they could not penetrate the dragon armor. When a first-rate fighter appeared, his sword gleamed, and I was terrified. Just as I thought I might lose my life here, the 9 heavens poison under my elbow, worth 10 million taels, seeped into him, and I triumphed." He continuously recalled the past, his eyes wide with surprise. "At that moment, I realized that even as a fighter, when encountering poison, he is just an ordinary person like us. When the top experts come, the process of poisoning them can be a bit difficult, but I still emerge victorious." The old man quickly took a sip of wine and continued, "That's how it is, I met him." The name Nam Gung Zheng in the old man's memory. Under the evening light, he leaned against the wall, exuding a terrifying aura. The old man's voice trembled as he said, "He is a monster. Jiang Meng recalled the moment he met Nam Gungzheng. The old man approached happily and said, "So this is what the people in the martial world are like. I should have lived like this from the beginning. Even the experts of the martial world cannot pierce through the dragon armor, so I have nothing to fear." The old man laughed heartily. "Maybe I should try to fight against the number one sect in the world once." Suddenly, a person appeared, leaning against the wall, making the old man curious. The old man looked at Nam Gungzheng, whose body was filled with evil energy, and thought, "What is he doing blocking the way like this?" Jiang Meng spoke up, "Hey, move aside." The blunt remark made Nam Gungzheng tremble as if he were suppressing his anger. He responded without hesitation, "You bastard." The old man froze, pointing at himself in confusion and asking, "Did you just insult me?" As he finished speaking, a terrifying power erupted from his entire being. He growled. "Because of your damnable self, you made me escape from transformation, and now I can never enter it again." Nam Gungzheng's face turned bright red, evil energy swirling around him. Entering transformation is the moment of enlightenment. "Come here." At that moment, he still did not know the extent of his power, and he disdainfully replied. "Humph, a beggar blocking the way, turns out to be a madman. I wonder if he's even a fighter." "What? Transformation? You're just boasting too much." Without saying much, Nam Gungzheng immediately launched an attack. The old man stared wide-eyed, unable to react, and the sound of impact rang out. At some point, Jiang Meng's hat had been crushed and lay scattered on the ground. The old man could only exclaim, "Huh!" He smugly laughed. "Humph, I only hit lightly, and it fell off. It's not made of paper, is it?" The old man flew into a rage, pulling a firecracker from his robe. "You're not just a braggart. All right, let's try this." As he spoke, he lit the firecracker in his hand while simultaneously launching needles towards him. Nam Gungzheng raised his hand to shield himself, even though he didn't know what it was. After doing so, the old man confidently said, "Just one feather needle, and the poison will spread throughout your body." The old man continued to explain, "Just count to 3, and you will lose your eyesight. After another 8 seconds, your flesh will contract. After 10 seconds, you will lose all your senses and suffer from the pain of your heart and lungs being torn apart. After 30 seconds, you will die." He stood still, not moving, only bending down to look at the needles on his body. Meanwhile, Jiang Meng approached him, holding the antidote, and said slowly, "But I can't just kill someone I just met on the road. I will give you the antidote because I believe you have realized your mistake." But suddenly, Nam Gungzheng burst out laughing, and the old man, extremely flustered, shouted, "Hey, don't be so arrogant, just drink it." He didn't pay any attention and tilted his head back to expel the toxins from his body, spitting onto a stone by the roadside. The stone that was spat on immediately began to evaporate. Jiang Meng exclaimed, "What is happening?" Nam Gungzheng merely snorted softly, but immediately, the veins on his face bulged like ropes. He tensed up, and in the blink of an eye, all the needles embedded in his body shot out. The old man opened his eyes wide, mouth agape, unable to believe the scene before him. He shouted, "Impossible!" He managed to remove the feather needle by himself, something even a divine doctor couldn't do. Nam Gungzheng stood tall, his terrifying gaze fixed on the old man. He gritted his teeth and sneered. "When the needle pierced, I tensed up. Although I couldn't stop the poison from entering, it seems you're quite capable. If you were an ordinary person, you would have died instantly." The old man bowed his head, trembling and too afraid to look directly at him. Suddenly, Nam Gungzheng grabbed the shoulder of his armor and continued, "It seems you have quite a few interesting things." In a flash, one of the sleeves of the armor was torn apart by him. With a trembling voice, the old man looked at the armor and softly said, "Dragon scale armor." Nam Gungzheng appeared extremely excited. He crazily ripped apart the armor that the old man had always prided himself on, mocking, "What do you even use this stuff for?" The old man dared not do anything, only standing silently to listen to his insults, feeling immense pain in his heart. "My treasure has fallen into the hands of this monster, torn apart like paper." After finishing the destruction, Nam Gungzheng wiped the sweat from his forehead, his face full of pride. "I never expected my body to feel this comfortable. It has been a long time since I felt this way." He waved his hand and walked away, not forgetting to leave a remark. "Thanks to you, I feel so refreshed, I will spare you. Jiang Meng, with his clothes torn and only his pants remaining, stood shivering and watched him go. Before he got too far, the old man quickly asked. What is your name? Nam Gungzheng turned back, flashed a cunning smile, and coldly replied. Do you want to know so you can take revenge? The old man panicked. I'm just curious. He scoffed. My name is Nam Gungzheng, from the Nam Gung clan. After finishing, the old man gently poured himself some wine and drank. Everyone around, including the Sua, was moved to tears by the old man's story. In the emotional atmosphere, one of them began to share. I was once called a talent of 50 years, once in the military, I thought I was a genius until I met that Nam Gungzheng guy. Another person chimed in. Once, I bumped into an old man, he said that as long as I followed him, I would never be beaten for the rest of my life. Looking back now, it turns out it was just a scam. Like a storytelling competition, each person took turns sharing their experiences. A man in a blue outfit scratched his head and began to recount. A martial arts tournament was held in the village. Everyone said, we will win, unless some Nam Gung person happens to pass by. Another man in an orange outfit said, I accidentally discovered the expert level 10 secret technique in a cave, and I was as happy as if it were a festival. 10 years after coming out, I realized I was wrong. After hearing each person's circumstances, the Soa quietly sat and pondered. The 50 people gathered here are all renowned talents in the area. Just because they encountered the Nam Gung clan, they fell from the heights into the abyss. He reflected, among those with the Nam Gung surname, I am the only one who understands them well. Looking into the wine bowl before him, which reflected his past, he sadly thought, perhaps like me in the past, all these people, even knowing the outcome, still cannot give up. Suddenly, a voice rose up, surprising everyone, what's so difficult about this? I will do it. The Sua slammed the table and confidently declared, the revenge you all seek, I will fulfill for you. Upon hearing the Sua's official declaration, everyone cheered with joy. They all lifted him up and shouted loudly, long live Army Commander de Sua. The next morning, when the sun had shone everywhere, de Sua groggily woke up, complaining. What did those old men drink to get so hungover? Before he could gather his thoughts, Li Han, with a fierce expression, had been waiting for him and asked. You're awake. He crossed his arms and said seriously. This is a bit unexpected, but I need to talk to you. De Sua suddenly asked. Huh? What's going on? His eyes widened, showing seriousness, and then he unexpectedly stepped forward to grasp de Sua's hand, earnestly pleading. Please persuade your maid to become my disciple. He recounted what had just happened. I met with the maids to ask if besides the elegant pill, that Nam Gung Yang had given them anything else. He continued to express his feelings. I was surprised that just by smelling, they could distinguish all types of pills, even identifying the ingredients of each type. If they have such talent, it's not strange for them to not only become medical officers but also divine doctors. Li Han said seriously. I tried to propose they become disciples, but they refused, so I had to come directly to their master, which is you. Please help, use your eloquence to persuade them to change their decision. If they agree to become my disciples, Li Han thumped his chest and swore, I will join your group. The Sua led him on, giving instructions as they walked, I cannot force this. I will respect their opinions. Li Han also expressed his gratitude, thank you, you are truly better than your father. Suddenly, the Sua exclaimed, what is that pile of corpses? In front of him was the sight of a group of people who had been drunk the night before, slumped over at the table, completely unaware of their surroundings. Li Han reassured him, don't worry, they may look like this, but they are still alive. The Sua tilted his head in confusion, huh? Why is he here? He saw Nam Gung Yang struggling to pull a fat man off the ground. He shouted, what are you doing? Startling Nam Gung Yang, who panicked and exclaimed, young master. Seeing him, he complained, why did you only arrive now? Cleaning up these drunks is exhausting, my hands are about to break. But De Sua merely leaned on his hands, smiled, and said, seeing you work so hard is truly good. Keep going. Then he pushed the door open and walked in, leaving the young man to lament in misery. I'm tired, I really want to die. When De Sua arrived, Shuang Yan and Huaya, who were busy cooking, turned to greet him. "Young master, you are awake now." Smelling the delicious food, he curiously asked, "Is that soup made from bean sprouts?" Lian Ran quickly introduced, "Yes, would you like to try it?" He scooped a ladle to taste and praised, "It looks so good." Meanwhile, he inquired, "Don't you girls want to become medical officers?" The three girls confidently replied, "That's right, we want to serve you for the rest of our lives." Hearing this, De Soa was confused about how to persuade them. He looked at Li Han and asked, "So what should we do?" Li Han replied, "Did you refuse my offer because of the young master?" But the three seemed uninterested in his words, only focusing on their work. "Has the soup boiled yet?" De Soa asked again, "Is it really because of me?" He opened his sparkling eyes and exclaimed, "Why? I'm no longer a child who needs help." Suddenly, the kitchen door burst open, and an arm appeared. It was Nam Gung Yang, followed by Jiang Meng. He loudly declared, "We also want you girls to become our disciples." The situation was already awkward, and now it was even more complicated. De Soa angrily shouted, "This crazy guy, what do you suddenly want? And that old man too?" Upon hearing himself mentioned, Jiang Meng replied, "I observed them yesterday. The eye that spotted that treasure is indeed extraordinary. That keen gaze makes me truly envious." At the compliment, Shuang Yen was slightly taken aback. Nam Gung Yang approached Lian Ran and called out, "Lian Ran." He looked at her with sharp, cold eyes and said, "You are." Lian Ran felt anxious, beads of sweat forming, as she focused intently on listening. Then suddenly, he shouted loudly, appointed as the strategist of Nam Gung Yang. "Yang persuaded, you are the same age as me. Although you passed the local exam, due to your family's downfall, you became a maid. The eldest daughter, Lian Ran, this responsibility can only be entrusted to you." After that, a fierce argument ensued among the three as they vied for her. Li Han shouted angrily, "You all, I was the one who asked first." Nam Gung Yang refused to back down, retorting sarcastically, "You are being too greedy." Jiang Meng confidently stated, "Isn't their opinion the most important one?" De Soa stood in the midst of a noisy argument, pulling his hair in frustration. Unable to bear it any longer, he decided to kick all three of them out to allow the sisters to think. "Please wait outside." Once it was just him and the sisters, De Soa seriously began the discussion. "Now that it's just us, sisters, please speak. Although this is quite unexpected, it is a rare opportunity. I want to hear your honest thoughts." Shuang Yen spoke up first, "Honestly, I'm not sure. Living with everyone is great, but I'm also curious about the new world." Lian Ran added, "Thanks to the grace of the matriarch, I was saved from a life of slavery. I can never repay that debt. Taking care of the young master, and continuing to do so in the future, is the happiest time of my life." Huaya commented, "I will follow every request of the young master. There is only one master for me in this world." De Soa closed his eyes to contemplate, then opened them to make a decision. "All right, then let's do it this way. Shuang Yen's sister will follow the divine doctor, Lian Ran's sister will follow the vice strategist, and Huaya's sister will become a disciple of Jiang Meng." All three of them bowed their heads in agreement, "As you command." De Soa added, "We will always keep a spot open for the sisters. If you feel bored, just come back here, you are all like family to me." His words moved the three, and they teared up, calling out, "Young master." Still touched, De Soa then put on a wicked expression, "Sister Shuang Yen will become a pharmacist, and her pills will also be mine. Sister Lian Ran will become a strategist, and the operational funds will always be abundant. Sister Huaya will become a disciple of Jiang Meng, and the greatest world heaven bank will belong to me. We are about to get rich." The three forced smiles, unable to respond to his dramatic performance. Realizing he might have gone a bit too far, De Soa cleared his throat, "I'm just saying that, how could I enjoy everything alone? If we want to live happily, we need to have a little ambition. You all understand my feelings, right?" The three replied in unison, "Of course we understand very well." Then he led the sisters to where the three were waiting. Li Han asked, "How did it go? Have you finished discussing?" De Soa smiled and introduced, "Sister Shuang Yen will follow the divine doctor, Sister Lian Ran will follow the vice strategist, and Sister Huaya will become a disciple of Jiang Meng." He said with a dangerous expression, I hope you will take care of them. Making all three people worried, they silently thought, why do I feel so uneasy? Not wanting to disturb everyone, he told them to quickly accept their master and disciples. Then let's talk later, everyone go ahead. After everyone had finished talking with their disciples, Li Han happily said to Shuang Yan, you should rest today, come to the medical hall tomorrow. A voice spoke up, Army Commander. He blankly replied, huh. All the people who had just been drunk were now gathered together with Ba Zun and Meng Kong. They loudly asked, you are out, what should we do? They eagerly looked at him, it's our first time paying respects to a master, we are very excited. De Suo looked at everyone full of energy and teased, weren't you just looking at everyone like they were corpses? After saying that, he held his stomach and replied, but now I have no interest in teaching anyone. I can't even protect my own stomach, I'm the one who needs to learn. Ba Zun added, that's something everyone knows. The strength of the young master is about to surpass the third rank. He retorted angrily, when did I ever say I was a genius? A voice spoke up, but Meng Kong. He said, if the young master wants to learn our martial arts, it's a different story. According to the young master, he wants to learn martial arts from someone stronger than the third rank. The tall men stared at him. Meng Kong continued, as I see it, the martial arts of those here are not inferior to Nam Gung. Ba Zun, standing at a distance, also gave him advice, depending on the martial arts method, the application will differ, you must directly use your body to feel it in order to learn quickly. Ba Zun laughed loudly, without hesitation, charging straight at De Suo, who was still confused and had not yet understood what was happening. Amitba. The old man swung his hand and threw a powerful punch that made De Suo grimace. With a cunning expression, he continuously launched lightning-fast attacks. Caught off guard by the situation, De Suo could only shout, wait. But the old man paid no attention and continued to punch him in the stomach, sending him flying several meters away. De Suo gasped for breath after the relentless series of attacks. Ba Zun wasted no time, executing a swift move that left De Suo with no choice but to endure. He continuously took the old man's blows without being able to fight back. The old man delivered a fierce kick, the dragon's claw striking directly at his chin. Following that was a series of rapid punches, a brain-busting flurry. De Suo quickly raised both hands to defend. Finally, the old man unleashed a decisive blow that filled the air with dust and smoke. Ba Zun laughed loudly, his tone mocking, how long do you intend to be beaten? De Suo cursed angrily, damn it, and charged forward, determined to retaliate. He repeated the moves that Ba Zun had just used, but the old man nimbly dodged. Next came the tiger claw strike. De Suo swung his leg, delivering a kick that forced the old man to lean back to avoid the blow, not forgetting to taunt, oh ho. He continued with a brain-splitting move that left those around him in awe, wow. The young master is really good, it's no joke, one can only say he is a genius. They cheered enthusiastically. De Suo blushed, shyly waving his hand, is it really necessary to go that far? He seemed to be someone easily embarrassed by compliments. Taking advantage of his distraction, Ba Zun executed the tiger fist, landing a punch straight to his face, causing him to slide down to the ground. The old man approached, preparing to strike again, this is truly wonderful, it reminds me of the glorious times of the past. De Suo raised his hand to stop him, great master, wait a moment. But the old man paid no attention, delivering a kick straight to his chin, sending him flying into the air. Ba Zun shouted excitedly, that's more like it, this is what living is all about. The feeling of swinging my arms is truly satisfying. After a series of humiliating days, the Buddha has finally granted me the opportunity for revenge. Amitba. De Suo angrily shouted, old bastard. Taking advantage of the fall, he countered with the tiger fist technique. Ba Zun, even more enraged, charged forward, saying, I will also show you what the tiger fist is like. In the end, both faced off directly with their strikes. De Suo realized that his punch lacked power and was immediately sent flying into the sky, then crashing down to the ground in a mess. Ba Zun asked mockingly, how long do you intend to be beaten? Despite being injured, De Suo retorted, are you sure this is martial arts from 10 years ago? With the same type of martial arts, why am I the only one falling? Ba Zun laughed derisively, why is that? One person has only trained for a day, while the other has trained for a lifetime, it makes a difference. Desuo felt a surge of anger inside. Now I understand why my father cut off that old man's hand. A disobedient son, unaware of his father's thoughts. He silently vowed, I will definitely turn that head into a mortar. In his mind, he envisioned that old man's head turning into a mortar, while the old man continued to smile mockingly. 100 years is still a long way off. With overwhelming rage, Desuo continued to unleash the tiger fist. The crowd stood watching and discussing non-stop. If he keeps swinging like that, he will get hit again. I also want to take down the young master. He turned around to gain momentum and shouted loudly, Heavenly Scale Hammer, causing the ground to shake, then launched a reverse tiger claw kick towards Ba-Zoon. The old man quickly blocked it and stepped back as he was continuously attacked by him. Desuo continued to lift his leg, preparing to stomp straight into the old man's face. In his heart, he thought, with a light body, I can lock the Heavenly Scale Hammer. If my arms are short, I'll use my legs to counter. Who says the tiger fist can only be used with a fist? Ba-Zoon was not afraid at all. He smiled with delight and praised, not bad, just as expected. He had blocked Desuo's leg, causing him to lose momentum. Desuo exclaimed in panic, what? Then he was quickly kicked back by the old man using the dragon tiger technique. Dazed, he was still surprised by the old man's movement, exclaiming, he also uses the tiger fist with his legs. That's against the rules. Desuo fell to the ground injured and fainted. Menkong saw him unconscious and immediately reported, he has fainted. The old man turned to ask another person, you witnessed everything, what do you think? Indeed, a rare talent. One can explore the next level of martial arts and inner strength, innate abilities, and resilient willpower, which is truly admirable. Here, there is certainly no warrior who can see this outstanding talent without envy. Menkong smiled and said, to learn all those martial arts, the young master will definitely be very busy in the near future. The sunlight shone everywhere, and a gentle voice rang out. Desuo rubbed his neck, sat up, and wondered, how long have I been lying here? In front of him, everyone was fiercely engaged in combat. Just waking up, Desuo still felt dizzy. He asked in confusion, Are they sparring with each other? He raised his voice, what's going on? Why are they fighting? Some were using weapons, while others fought barehanded, leaving him puzzled. Suddenly, someone flew towards Desuo, startling him. Seeing that he was awake, the person quickly asked, young master, when did you wake up? The person continued, while the young master was sleeping, someone came looking for you, but we sent him away. Desuo pointed at his face and asked, he came to see me? The person turned to discuss with another, saying, he looks really tall, doesn't he? The other person replied, just a big guy. Have you been practicing martial arts in the mountains and don't know what's happening in the world? The taunt made the other person angry, veins popping on his forehead. The two immediately charged at each other. What are you going crazy for? Want to die? Come at me, and I'll let you taste it. Desuo still didn't understand the situation clearly. He looked at them irritably and said, did they eat something wrong? From behind, Ba-Zoon and Menkong appeared, telling him, just let it be, from now on we are on the same side, and it's time to establish our ranks. Desuo questioned, why don't you old men jump in and fight? Ba-Zoon looked at him, gritting his teeth, and replied, if we jumped in, it wouldn't be interesting anymore. We already have our ranks. Desuo observed everyone, silently marveling, just watching, these matches seem incredible. How strong are they really? Menkong spoke up to comfort him, if you put in the effort, you will be stronger than them. Desuo exclaimed in surprise, really? Ba-Zoon added, if you work hard to the point of bleeding, you will be stronger than both of us. He further explained, if you practice to the point of overdoing it, you might even be stronger than both the heavenly demon and the martial god. Desuo raised his hand to his chest, feeling something, and then said, then let's do it. His face turned red, filled with confidence, I want to try my best. Desuo continued to observe everyone, secretly speculating, with such a relieved expression, it seems they have roughly arranged the order already. He sighed, there are too many people, when will I remember all their names? He approached, pointing at the person with a scar on his face, saying, from now on, you will be the oldest. Next, he pointed at two people wearing orange and purple, you are the second, the third, and the fourth. Hearing the way he named them, everyone there felt disheartened, silently evaluating, compared to naming standards. Suddenly, the door of the hall was forcefully opened by someone. That person quickly walked towards Desuo. He was confused and exclaimed, "Oh, second brother." Nam Gungdong smirked and said, "Little brother, I accept your proposal." Desuo still didn't understand and asked again, "Didn't you declare war on me yesterday? In 2 years, I will probably be defeated by you." He was still bewildered, not understanding what his second brother was talking about. Nam Gungdong recounted, "Yesterday I was very surprised. This is the first time you have shown me your true nature." Desuo gritted his teeth in anger, directing his gaze towards the 2 people who had just told him the story. Nam Gungdong patted his shoulders firmly, declaring, "Very interesting. That's what it means to be a descendant of Nam Gung." Then his expression suddenly changed, turning sharp and cold. "I only thought of you as a lovely child. 2 years is indeed a long time, but since you said you would participate in the fight directly, I will definitely wait." Desuo's face paled upon hearing these words. Nam Gungdong turned and walked away, not forgetting to add, "I will wait for you for another 2 years, don't let me down." And then the door slammed shut. After he entered, the atmosphere immediately became lively. Everyone excitedly discussed, "That's how it should be to be interesting." "Who said 2 years? 1 year is enough." Meanwhile, Desuo seemed to be holding back his emotions, suddenly shouting, "Who? Who dares to say 2 years?" From the middle of the crowd, Ba Zun laughed loudly and raised his hand, "It's me." Recognizing the instigator, Desuo exploded, "So it's you, I will smash your head." Ba Zun looked at him without fear, on the contrary, he cheered excitedly. Before anything else, the eyes were already filled with determination. "Good, very fighting spirit." Meng Kong observed the 2 with a judging gaze, thinking to himself, "What fighting spirit? That's evil energy." He restrained his anger, waved his hand, and said, "Enough, we don't have time, let's go practice." At the same time, he thought of Nam Gungdong. "If it were that crazy guy, I would have beaten him up to vent my anger, I miss him too much." Desuo looked at Ba Zun and asked, "Where do we start?" Ba Zun thought for a moment and replied, "First, let's take turns fighting the brothers from 1 to 50. After hearing this, everyone cracked their knuckles in preparation, making Desuo shudder and plead, "Wait a minute." Of course, no one showed mercy. A loud shout rang out, "First old man up." Then, throughout the hall, the sound of his miserable cries echoed, shocking anyone passing by. In another corner, Li Han threw a thick book onto the table and asked, "This is your first time learning, right?" Shuang Yen picked up the book and opened it, and the divine doctor continued, "I understand, when do you get a chance to read this kind of book? Just take your time learning it now." She replied without hesitation, "Divine doctor, I already know all this." He was very surprised, "Huh? When did you learn this?" He flipped through the book casually and said, "How is that possible? This herbal medicine book takes at least 5 years to study." Li Han then opened a random page and challenged her, "Tell me about the yellow banner." As expected, she answered fluently, "The yellow banner grows in mountainous areas or rocky crevices, with flowers characterized by soft white hairs. The effects of the yellow banner mainly lie in its roots, helping to detoxify, slow aging, boost the immune system, and are good for osteoporosis." The perfect answer left the divine doctor speechless. "Exactly, how does a maid know so much? What did you do before becoming a maid?" Shuang Yen honestly replied, "I helped my father at a small pharmacy called Tianhui Guild." Upon hearing this name, he was astonished. Tianhui Guild. Although it was just a small pharmacy that no one paid attention to, it was famous for its high-level skills. He tried to remember, "I heard it disappeared for some reason. Besides me, the place with the best medical skills in Zhongyuan is Tianhui Guild." Then, he tearfully held Shuang Yan's hand, "You have worked hard all this time." She gently replied, "No, since I met the little young master, I have been very happy." She expressed her longing for him, while he was somewhere being beaten to a pulp. The sound of someone's footsteps echoed loudly on the floor. It was Nam Gung Lin. He opened the door to Nam Gung Dong's room and asked, "Are you determined to fight alongside the little young master? His path ahead is full of thorns." "What do you mean?" Nam Gung Yang put down his pen and replied, but wouldn't it be more interesting? Master, he looked at him with a confident expression, walking a smooth silk road is not the preference of a disciple. Only those who overcome the thorns can discover what lies behind them. His gaze held determination, the disciple believes in the little young master. The strategist, witnessing that resolve, softened a bit, it seems you understand what you want. Nam Gung-yang added, additionally, I would like to introduce someone. He asked, do you want to recommend another strategist for the little young master? The disciple eagerly replied, no, it's the assistant to the vice strategist. To lighten my workload, from now on I will have more time to be with the little young master, won't I? Upon hearing this, the strategist's expression darkened, and he snorted coldly. He peeked his head out and shouted when he saw Lian Ran arrive, sister is here. Introducing her to the master, he said, this is the maid of the little young master, who took the same exam at the age of 10 as my disciple, but due to family circumstances, she could not continue. She respectfully bowed her head in greeting. Nam Gung-dong continued, she is no longer a maid, she will become a student of my disciple. If we talk about hierarchy, she will have to call the master twice as master. Nam Gung-lin looked at Lian Ran from head to toe and asked with a trembling voice, what is your name? She politely bowed her head and replied, I am Lian Ran, the eldest daughter of Li Tianming. I respectfully greet the master. Hearing the name Li Tianming, the strategist was startled, filled with emotion, no way. The daughter of Li Tianming. He was lost in memories, Li Tianming was once the smartest person, but after the king ascended the throne, his entire family was beheaded, and his descendants either died or became slaves. There are rumors that his daughter is the smartest person in Zhongyuan, I never expected to meet her today. The strategist sighed, truly, the heavens have eyes. Then he burst out laughing, today is indeed a beautiful day, we must drink. Turning to Nam Gung-yang, the strategist said, I will borrow this child for a bit. Nam Gung-yang had a gloomy face and complained, Master, it's me who needs her, not you. The strategist patted Lian Ran on the shoulder and shouted, from now on, don't call me uncle anymore, just call me master. Let's go, I can't let you stay with that little guy. Nam Gung-yang ran after the two, crying out in despair, who steals a disciple from their own disciple? Master, I was the one who discovered her. At Hui Jin Pavilion, the morning was quiet without the sounds of shouting. Nam Gung-yong, the owner of Hui Jin Pavilion, sat in a chair, his voice cold, he has asked, but can you endure life here? In front of him was Huaya. She glanced at Jiang Meng, thinking to herself, talking to old Jiang Meng without any hesitation. Then she observed Nam Gung-yong, assessing, the one who can decide the fate of everyone at Hui Jin Pavilion must surely be the master of this place. Huaya told herself, everyone in the Nam Gung family must pay attention to his gaze, but I am different. She confidently asserted, I am not someone to be worried about. Huaya placed her hand on her chest and spoke proudly, who knows, this Hui Jin Pavilion might be subdued by me. She remembered the figure of Desua and thought to herself, because I have a home to return to. Nam Gung-yong observed her and smiled, you brought back an interesting child. Jiang Meng glanced at Huaya and said, just stay here for 2 years. The old man squinted, his voice full of implication, if you can endure 2 years, who knows, you might change a lot of things. Huaya proudly replied, I am very confident. 6 months later, at Desua's palace, the sound of clashes during the sparring echoed. Desua was overpowering his opponent, shouting, head. He struck the opponent's head with a wooden sword, sending that person flying several meters away. Desua laughed joyfully, that's how it should be, what a feeling. He smugly teased, this is how you fight. The defeated opponent trembled and said, when did he become so strong? Desua raised his sword, confidently challenging, who's next? Hurry up. Meng Kong stepped forward and said, it seems you can spar with us now. He laid out the rules, I will use the wisdom sword. Desua took his stance and said, all right, come at me. He surged forward as fast as lightning, astonishing everyone. Sun-shooting swordsmanship, a secret art of the Jiansang sect, can split the sun in half if mastered. In his mind, Desua calculated, the terrifying aspect of the wisdom sword is its flow. If I fall into the vortex, I will struggle to my death. He was determined, I must take the initiative when facing the wisdom sword. Meng Kong smiled in approval, very good. He stood still, swinging his sword to block Desoa's attack. As a result, Desoa had to retreat. Desoa looked down, his feet caught in Meng Kang's profound inner strength flow. What is this? He wondered silently. Meng Kang smiled triumphantly, just a small movement and you've already been swept in. He glanced at Desoa, his voice full of arrogance. The outcome is clear, you must be thinking of giving up now, right? But Desoa refused to submit. He recalled the days of hard training, the countless times he had been knocked down, and the many times he faced adversity yet fought resiliently. Without hesitation, he unleashed the swallow song technique and charged straight at Meng Kang. Meng Kang was surprised to recognize Desoa's martial arts. Is that the martial arts of the beggar sect? In an instant, Desoa closed in, causing him to startle and retreat. Meng Kang quickly thrust his sword towards him, but Desoa managed to jump up to avoid the blow. The first swallow is just an illusion, the second one is real, he said with a smile before suddenly attacking from behind. The brothers around cheered, got hit, come on. But Meng Kang only sneered, from the Song faction to the beggar sect, I never expected to meet someone skilled in the martial arts of both the 5 great clans and the 9 factions. Immediately, he turned and struck straight at Desoa's face. Desoa couldn't react in time, a thought flashing in his mind, Wu Dang Duel Principle's heart technique. After the match, Desoa bitterly admitted defeat, damn it, the champion is from Wu Dang, no wonder he knows the Duel Principle's heart technique. He realized that the Wu Dang sect was merely a smokescreen, the wisdom sword was not the end. Unwilling to give up, he continued to attack with a series of swift kicks and punches, but all were easily evaded by Meng Kang. Desoa told himself, I must not obstruct the flow, I need to grasp the flow towards me. Meng Kang merely stood still, using one hand to block all his attacks. Tisk, it's useless. But right after that, Desoa thrust his sword towards him, forcing Meng Kang to lean back to dodge the blow. He was astonished to realize, sun-shooting swordsmanship. Seeing the opening, Desoa delivered a high kick. Meng Kang quickly raised both hands in front of his chest to defend, wondering, is this the full wind kick? No, it's the returning fist kick. The strong kick forced him to be pushed back. Before he could regain his composure, Meng Kang faced a series of relentless attacks from Desoa, forcing him to use a wooden sword for defense. Desoa mocked, looking at your reaction, it seems it's not ineffective. Meng Kang, confused, wondered, when did that hidden weapon come into play? Not wasting time, Desoa ran forward, creating a smokescreen that blinded Meng Kang. He scoffed, didn't you say that being despicable but winning is enough? Are you angry now? Meng Kang, furious, his face flushed, exclaimed, this little brat. He moved quickly, swinging his sword down at Desoa, but Desoa's eyes flashed with determination, good, every step you take has made you hasty. He charged forward, extending 2 fingers, telling himself, this is the opportunity. Suddenly, Meng Kang spoke up, 100 years is still a long way off. Desoa was startled, huh? At that moment, a surge of internal energy rushed forth, drowning him in surprise. He tried to hold his breath, pondering, what is this? I've never encountered this type of martial arts before. Watching Meng Kang wielding his sword high, Desoa still couldn't read his attack. Without hesitation, Meng Kang struck down fiercely, resulting in Desoa taking the full blow, his eyes spinning. A large lump formed on his head before he fainted, mumbling, it's the head again. It seemed that the man was also exhausted after taking him down. He breathed a sigh of relief, looking at the sword in his hand and telling himself, I didn't expect to have to use this new wisdom sword so soon. Seeing him lying unconscious on the floor, he didn't hesitate to praise, in just 6 months, to progress this much is truly impressive. Whether Desoa heard Meng Kang's compliment or not, he was indeed a difficult demon leader to grasp. It's hard to imagine what he will become in 2 years. Elsewhere, Desoa's maidens were fully engaged in their work. Huaya was busy analyzing the books, Shuang Yan was focused on learning the art of potion making, while Lian Ran was studying to assist Nam Gungyang. As for Desoa, he continued to train diligently, regardless of how harsh the weather was. At a magnificent castle, a voice rang out, finally, 2 years have passed. How long I have waited for this confrontation. It was the voice of Nam Gungdong. The door swung open, and he bowed respectfully before a person seated in front of him. The second young master cautiously said, I have come to seek permission for a duel. The person before him was Nam Gung Han. He rested his chin on his hand and replied, I remember granting permission a long time ago. Nam Gung Dong then reiterated, I heard that my younger brother has completed his seclusion training today. Just then, footsteps echoed from outside. Nam Gung Han continued, if so, you must act quickly. Before he could finish, someone rushed in, calling out loudly, Father. Upon seeing him, Nam Gung Dong exclaimed, I knew you would come. My younger brother. It turned out to be Nam Gung Shan. He replied, what a surprise, I didn't expect you to come looking for me. Nam Gung Dong continued, I intended to come but wanted to wait a bit longer. Is there something with my younger brother? Why didn't you go to see him and came here instead? Nam Gung Shan laughed cheerfully, indeed, nothing can be hidden from you. Nam Gung Dong placed his hand on his shoulder. Squeezing tightly and speaking with a sarcastic tone, look at your relaxed demeanor, it seems the time in seclusion has yielded many results. Nam Gung Shan awkwardly replied, that's only natural. Nam Gung Dong leaned closer to him, teasingly, but I see you have become more aggressive, sharper, and heavier than before. It seems you are wielding a saber now instead of a sword. The remark hit home, causing Nam Gung Shan to stiffen and stammer, oh, how could you? Nam Gung Dong did not stop, continuing, isn't it the duty of an elder brother to understand his younger brother's achievements? Despite the mockery, Nam Gung Shan remained calm. He intended to draw his sword but then calmly said, this time I shall retreat. It seems you are the one who has come first. Nam Gung Dong laughed happily, thank you, little brother. He added, but please allow me to watch the match between you and the younger brother, all right? Nam Gung Dong nodded in agreement, of course, the more people who come to watch, the better. Suddenly, a hand was raised, and Nam Gung Han spoke up, I will participate too. The statement startled both of them. Nam Gung Dong thought to himself, is this because of the younger brother? But he did not object, if so, let's invite the clan members to join us. Surely everyone will like it. Isn't it true that Nam Gung has always enjoyed competitions, he thought to himself. I will let many people see who truly holds the advantage in the battle among the little family masters. Then he imagined the scene of himself defeating Dasuo. Nam Gung Shan spoke up to remind him, you shouldn't underestimate your younger brother. Nam Gung Dong immediately responded with a sharp gaze like a venomous snake, are you saying I underestimate my younger brother? Me? He then turned and walked away, not forgetting to throw back a remark, you know nothing at all. Nam Gung Shan silently watched him go, feeling a sense of discomfort in his heart. He told himself, if it were a saber instead of a sword. At the gate, a voice rang out, clearly this is the place. Xuan Yen stood there looking at the palace and couldn't help but exclaim, has it become this grand in such a short time? A girl walked over, I heard that old Jiang Meng built it with the money he donated. Xuan Yen turned her head and recognized Lian Ran standing there, smiling and greeting her, Lian Ran, you came here too? Lian Ran happily waved back, Xuan Yen's sister, it's been a long time, did you come here to have a meal too? If Huaya comes too, that would be wonderful, Xuan Yen said gently. I heard that she left the Nam Gung clan because of a pact, I wonder when she will return. As soon as she finished speaking, a young man opened the door from inside, inviting the two ladies in. You've arrived, come in quickly. Upon entering, the two witnessed everyone practicing martial arts. Xuan Yen and Lian Ran couldn't help but exclaim, still training diligently as before. Recognizing the two, he exclaimed joyfully, sisters, it's been a long time. The two ladies cheerfully replied, young master. While greeting each other, a person with a stick took advantage of his distraction and rushed at him, if you lose focus while fighting, you'll get hit on the head, haven't you remembered that yet? But he quickly crouched down, dodging the blow, leaving the opponent stunned. What? Two others also stepped forward, determined to test their skills, today, we must hit you on the head at least once. He nimbly jumped up, escaping the encirclement, while putting on his shirt and cheerfully asked, are you sisters hungry? Come on in for a meal, the steward has prepared everything. The two ladies eagerly walked to the dining table, where delicious dishes awaited them. The steward smiled and said, just in time for Lian Ran and Xuan Yan's arrival, even though it's been a long time, I still remember those memories clearly. Both young ladies enjoyed the food, showering it with compliments. No wonder he is a steward, I remember those times when we had such joyful meals together. The steward continued to invite, eat more, there's still plenty left. Desoa pondered thoughtfully, aren't these days meant for eating beef? Shuang Yen called, young master. He jolted, snapping out of his thoughts, and replied, huh. She looked at him, delighted to notice his maturity, it's been 2 years since we last met, you look so different. He proudly said, of course, after 2 years of fighting, it would be strange if I didn't change. Shuang Yen laughed in agreement, exactly. Suddenly, someone burst in to announce, young master, you need to go outside immediately. Young hero Nam Gung Dong, the second young master, is looking for you. Upon hearing that name, Desoa's eyes sparkled, is that so? His face twisted into a devilish grin as he laughed, perfect timing. His attitude made the two sisters think, just how much has the young master been beaten? Outside, Nam Gung Dong waited patiently, thinking to himself, I thought 2 years was a short time for my little brother to achieve something. Who would have thought they were just doing menial tasks? Looking at the people in front of him, he silently assessed, I thought the duel would end up boring. If it's like this then. Desoa stepped forward to greet him, what are you thinking about, brother? Nam Gung Dong trembled slightly upon seeing that Desoa had grown taller, I've arrived, I was just thinking a bit. Desoa grabbed his arm, it seems like you have something to say, but let's talk somewhere else. Nam Gung Dong's expression changed, his mind constantly pondering, is he really not hesitating to hold my hand? He exuded an evil energy as if ready for a fight, I only reached out my hand and you already want to draw your sword. But contrary to his thoughts, Desoa cheerfully said, you know that place. You've invited me to many delicious foods there. Nam Gung Dong replied in surprise, oh, are you talking about that place? Desoa didn't hesitate, pulling his hand and loudly exclaimed, let's hurry up, my stomach is growling loudly. Desoa puffed his cheeks and happily said, indeed, when people eat, there must be meat on the table. Nam Gung Dong looked at him, silently thinking, turns out he's just big in size but hasn't raised his vigilance at all. What if there's poison in the food? He clasped his hands under his chin and called out, fourth brother. Desoa jumped in surprise and replied, yes. Nam Gung Dong anxiously advised, in life, don't trust people too much, even those in your family. Our family is not an ordinary family, we are the #1 clan in the world. Nam Gung Dong frowned slightly, his voice filled with doubt, aren't you afraid I will poison your food? Desoa still looked puzzled, his mouth full of food, but just a moment later, he smiled brightly, his eyes crinkling, wow, you are my brother. Anyone could harm me, but you definitely won't. You've never treated me badly, you even give me delicious food. His words made Nam Gung Dong feel embarrassed and blush. Nevertheless, he still reminded him, don't be so careless. Desoa continued to giggle, haha, it's okay, I have you by my side. Nam Gung Dong continued eating, his tone serious, hurry up and eat, I'm here today to discuss the timing of the duel. Desoa immediately asked, when do you think it should be held? Nam Gung Dong squinted and replied, tomorrow. Huh? Desoa was startled, covering his mouth in shock. Nam Gung Dong continued, there is no limit on the number of participants, the outcome will be decided when one side concedes. So that no one is dissatisfied. Desoa curiously asked, aren't you going to participate directly? Nam Gung Dong nodded, of course. Then he smiled, his expression deep, isn't the match between you and me a competition for the little family master? Desoa was confused, really? Nam Gung Dong set a condition, if I win tomorrow, I have something to ask of you. He was excited, I heard that your maidens are very talented. If you lose, one of the 3 of them must follow me. Desoa was startled and slammed the table, old man. His shout echoed throughout the room. Desoa opened the door forcefully, and the elders looked at him. Ba Zun smirked, we were having a very pleasant discussion. Meng Kong raised his hand to signal, let's have a game. Desoa quickly asked, where are the sisters? Meng Kong replied, after finishing their meal, they were tired, so they went back to their rooms to rest. Let me call them. Desoa interrupted, no, the match is scheduled for tomorrow afternoon. The 2 elders were startled. Desoa opened his eyes wide, determined, we must prepare immediately, we absolutely cannot lose. He placed the pieces on the table, reciting the rules. There is no limit to the number of participants. As long as one side says they lose, the match will end. That brother will definitely let the Shanggong Sword Guild go into battle. Desua asked, if we confront them, can we win? Ba Zun stroked his chin in thought, if it were 2 years ago, we would definitely lose 100%. Then he clenched his fist, his brows furrowing deeply, but in the past 2 years, we have trained, so it won't be easy to lose. The key is. Hearing this, Meng Kong raised an eyebrow and said, Nam Gungzheng is the elder of the Shanggong Sword Guild. If we cannot stop him tomorrow, we will lose in confusion. He helplessly predicted, The 2 elders were lost in contemplation. Suddenly, Desua jumped out from behind Ba Zun, his voice full of provocation, Are you afraid? Are you afraid of being beaten? Seeing the elder's face turn red and his teeth clenched, he continued, So you really are afraid. Wow, saying you will fight for the young master turns out to be just bragging. Ba Zun angrily swung a punch back, shouting, Do you want me to hit you? Desua dodged the blow, a sneer on his face, I dare you, do you think I'm as easy to bully as before? Meng Kong said seriously, Not all transformations are the same, one who has worked very hard, failing and succeeding continuously. Reaching transformation. A person who reaches transformation without encountering difficulties or adversities is like walking on a solid path. Everyone sees both as expert transformers, but the former is more fatigued than the latter. The former, as soon as he reaches transformation, will immediately feel his limits and want to stop. The latter, having faced no difficulties until now, uses that strength to climb even higher. Nam Gungzheng is a genius just like the second one, moreover, he was born with something called divine power that no one else possesses. Desua raised an eyebrow and smirked, Is that so? He provoked, Does that mean the old men are scared? The 2 suddenly burst into laughter. Meng Kong joked, Are you rushing to conclusions? He said, To conclude in a one-on-one fight, he is at 50%. He confidently pointed at himself, I am a step higher than this old man at 60%. Hearing this, Desua leaned on the table, Let it be so. The next afternoon, at the main arena, a crowd gathered around, bustling and crowded. The audience kept discussing. Everyone was eager to witness the showdown between the 2 young masters of Nam Gung. Suddenly, a person standing nearby was startled, pointing into the distance and exclaimed, Look over there. All eyes turned in that direction, and they were astonished to see the strategist appear. The strategist looked healthy, which reassured everyone and made them believe that the martial world would be protected. And there was the vice strategist, young yet exceptionally talented, earning everyone's admiration. Suddenly, footsteps rang out, cutting through the noise. The audience in the stands gasped as they recognized the newcomer. It was the martial god, the best in the world, the master of the greatest clan. He walked up and sat down in his seat with dignity. The crowd cheered in amazement at his appearance. The presence of the martial god made the atmosphere tense. Everyone could feel an indescribable pressure. Another person stepped onto the stage and shouted, Ladies and gentlemen, the match between the 4th young master and the 3rd young master is about to begin. The audience around them cheered continuously, enthusiastically supporting the fighters. Jiang Meng was excited, finally, the match is starting. Huaya was anxious, clasping her hands, silently praying for her young master. The door opened, and a tall figure stepped in, making the crowd even more lively. That is the Shanggong Sword Guild, the strongest army of the Nam Gung clan. People rushed to throw gold into the box, betting on this team. One person from the betting group approached Jiang Meng and asked, Master, who will you bet on? Jiang Meng pulled out a bag full of silver and said, I bet everything on the 4th young master, you're staring at the bag too much. Jiang Meng scoffed, Who else would dare to bet on the 4th young master besides me? Desua walked in, looking at the crowd that was mocking. One person in the crowd said, Is that the army of Nam Gung? The ending is more boring than I thought. Desua ignored them and walked straight up to face Nam Gung Dong. He started the conversation, Brother, before we begin, I want to say something. Nam Gung Dong frowned, Desua continued, Your side has 53 people, but yours is more numerous. If we fight one-on-one, the match will take a long time. Nam Gung Dong asked back, So what? Desua suggested, Let's have a team battle. Shanggong Sword Guild and Tian Long Guild, simple and effective. Nam Gungdong scoffed, of course, if you're scared, just refuse. The provocation made Nam Gungdong's face darken, veins bulging. The group of people stood in front of him, preparing to draw their swords. Desuo appeared innocent, standing upright as if wondering, seems a bit excessive, doesn't it? Ha ha ha. As if he had never laughed before. Nam Gungjing stood up and said loudly, the little young master's suggestion is interesting, I also want to make a proposal. Desuo asked curiously, what is it? Nam Gungjing smirked arrogantly, we will fight in teams, each side will choose a leader, interesting, right? Not only do you have to worry about the duel, but you also have to protect your leader while trying to take down the opponent's leader. The audience in the stands also agreed, many nodding, interesting, that's fine. Desuo showed his disdain, feeling unsatisfied. He thought to himself, fighting in teams as intended is fine, but I didn't expect this additional proposal. Elder Nam Gungjing, although he seems simple and foolish, is actually a person of that venomous second brother. I need to figure out their intentions. If I refuse this proposal, the collective battle suggestion will no longer exist. Whatever, let's give it a try. Desuo turned to gauge Ba Zun's opinion and then said loudly, I understand now, I accept. Oh, and one more thing, both sides will choose a leader from the opposing side. Isn't that more interesting? Nam Gungjing smiled slyly. Wait, the leader we designate is Desuo. He pointed at him. Desuo was taken aback, thinking to himself, if I become the leader, then they just need to take me down, and the battle will be much simpler. In the stands, Nam Gungyang snickered. Haha, you have completely fallen into the plan of the second young master. If you run away, the outcome of today's battle will haunt you for a lifetime. Well, let them see how the little young master will deal with the perfect trap set by the second young master. Desuo stood tall, dramatically sweeping his cloak aside. If that's the case, then the leader we designate, that newcomer, is a good choice. Although I'm also worried he might be quite strong. Desuo pointed at him, a person whose stature was significantly smaller than the others. He turned back to ask his teammates, do you all remember what we prepared since yesterday? Of course, isn't that what we do every day? Every day. It's just familiar to us. The teammates replied in unison with great enthusiasm. The match began, and the referee blew the whistle. Nam Gungjing wore a sly smile, his deep gaze commanding, charge. The opponents immediately rushed towards Desuo with fierce momentum. He couldn't react in time, fear causing him to retreat. What is happening? A hand slammed hard against his back, a burst of golden light radiating out. It was Ba Tun, surprised, huh? This is the feeling of fear when facing Nam Gung. Desuo turned his head to look, old man. His teammates laughed loudly, is that all you've got? The first time you met us, you were so scared you nearly wet your pants, while I was just a little scared. With people talking and laughing, the atmosphere became chaotic. Desuo, furious, shouted, hey, get it together. How can you get stronger with such filthy minds? Just then, the enemies charged again in unison, hurry up and give the orders, if this continues, we'll be wiped out. Desuo raised his hand and shouted loudly. The enemies were confused, what's happening? From behind, Desuo's team suddenly appeared, surrounding the opponents. Everyone present was astonished, what? Isn't that Na Han Jin from Shaolin? Why is Na Han Jin in the Nam Gung clan? Wait a minute, upon closer inspection, that person is indeed Ba Zun, the great master and abbot of Shaolin. It is said that this person's movements are very unpredictable, who would have thought he would appear in the Nam Gung clan? A master sat on the platform with his hands clasped, Adida fat, Ba Zun is still alive. Nam Gungjing maintained his unpleasant expression, so that's it. The Shanggong Sword Guild is divided into 3, and has also created a central position to combine with the formation. Quite a nice arrangement. Desuo confidently raised an eyebrow and smiled, Nam Gungjing, if you think this can stop us, you are greatly mistaken. He aggressively pointed his sword at Desuo, using all his strength to swing it down, but missed. He executed a move, the 5-element sword formation of Wu Dang, still the same old trick, he said disdainfully. He continued to attack but failed again. This time, the 7-star sword formation left him bewildered, this is the supreme ultimate sword formation. The Suo stood there smiling, you won't easily break it. This is a special gift I prepared for the elder. He showed no fear, do you dare to prolong the time against me? Interesting idea. He gathered his energy, and the sword emitted a purple light. His face darkened with danger, don't underestimate me, don't think that without me, the Shanggong Sword Guild will be like a headless snake. Meng Kong laughed and said, did the master not say that we must never let our guard down when facing that monster? Nam Gungjing fiercely raised his sword in front of him, then I have no choice but to trust him. The two teams charged at each other, neither willing to back down. The Suo directed from a distance, 9 people in front, 9 people behind. The Tianlong Guild heard the command and immediately adjusted their formation to encircle, they're coming, block them. The Suo shouted loudly, everyone charge in. They immediately rushed in to continue the fierce battle. He continuously changed the formation, 15 people in front, 3 people behind. That's right, 18 people behind. The guild leader was worried, if this drags on, we won't be able to hold out. The constantly changing formations left the guild leader confused. The Suo clenched his fist and confidently ordered, charge forward, we must corner them. The chaotic battlefield turned into a mess. Nam Gungxing noticed the situation was dire and said, guild leader, the situation is very dangerous. Xian anxiously looked at Nam Gungxing and asked, guild leader, if we keep charging, won't it be very dangerous? He comforted the boy, don't be afraid, the commander trusts us. Nam Gungdong sat at a distance, seriously observing all the developments. Nam Gungxing took a stance but hesitated, directing, from now on, you all should do your best to protect Haiyuan. Everyone around was excited, guild leader, do you have a plan? He focused his energy and calmly explained, this method is quite risky, but right now it seems to be the best option. He raised his sword in front of him, a golden light enveloping his entire body. The team members were stunned and shouted, guild leader. Ba Zun looked at Nam Gungxing in shock, is he planning to sacrifice himself? Is the inner chi abnormal? Nam Gungxing entered a battle state, his eyes shining brightly, the inner chi surging and enveloping his body. He shouted loudly, not an elder, nor a senior, this is just the realm of a guild leader. Ba Zun turned back, his voice full of determination, don't be afraid even a little bit. Everyone replied in unison, at your command. However, another wave of inner chi suddenly surged from behind, startling Nam Gungxing into turning around. A shout rang out, guild leader, why are you so calm? Nam Gungxing was stunned, elder. Inner chi surrounded Nam Gungxing. He clenched his fist and laughed loudly. Who are we? We are the Nam Gung clan. His confidence radiated like a wave of strength, invigorating everyone around him. Nam Gungxing shouted. Are you just going to stand there and watch? Show them what it means to be a member of Nam Gung. Nam Gungxing smiled smugly. Indeed, he is an elder. He roared. From now on, no one is allowed to stand behind me. The entire team shouted in unison. Understood. Nam Gungxing charged forward, with everyone following behind, their momentum rising as if they wanted to tear the sky apart. He commanded. The whole team, charge forward. Their overwhelming force caused the opponents to panic, and before they could react, they were pushed back. Nam Gungxing thought excitedly. At this rate, they definitely won't be able to resist. The Suo struggled to command, using every means to stop the opponents. If we are broken through, all plans will go up in smoke. He pointed his sword forward. Ba Zun and the elders aged 30 to 40, move up. Everyone quickly followed Ba Zun, running in the direction he pointed. Seeing the chaos, the Suo shouted. How much longer can we hold out? Meng Kong braced himself, grimacing as he replied, 2 more rounds, I can't take it anymore. The Suo shouted, do you want to die? Meng Kong angrily turned back and yelled, damn little guy. The Suo pondered, we must win in the next 2 rounds. He raised his hand to signal, the first form of the Arhat formation. Everyone in the team quickly dispersed in different directions, catching the guild leader off guard. He panicked, what is happening? Nam Gungxing, fully alert, said, what are you doing? Quickly attack the little young master. Seeing Desua standing alone without protection, the opponents rushed forward, shouting, "Advance and capture the little young master." Desua's face was sweating. He thought to himself, "The moment I've been waiting for has arrived." Desua pointed his sword at the opponents and shouted, "All 13 of you left, except for those 5 uncles, aim for the back." Those given orders jumped up and swung their weapons to attack. One person unleashed a move, falling moon sword technique, moon descending. Another continuously struck, heavenly hand. The rest swung their swords, plucking leaf flying flower. 3 moves sent the opponents flying, causing them to panic and flee, shouting, "We are being attacked from behind." The guild leader yelled, "Don't look back, just keep moving forward." They advanced with swords drawn, targeting Desua. The onlookers laughed with delight. It's over. If he were more mature, he might have been able to counter that move. However, every attack from them was swiftly dodged by Desua, leaving them in a panic. What is this? As they all charged at once, Desua quickly jumped high. A group lunged at him, shouting, "Don't let him escape." Desua's body flickered in and out of sight, evading every attack. They were taken aback. Can he really dodge them all? One person raised his sword, gritting his teeth, "We must catch him." But before he could execute his move, Desua knocked him away. Desua's face turned pale, blood trickled from his mouth as he muttered, "Damn it, my internal energy is depleted." The guild leader saw an opportunity and rushed forward, aiming his sword at him. His face was filled with evil energy as he growled, "Even though you belong to the main branch, I didn't expect you to dodge all my techniques." Desua's body felt heavy, standing still. The guild leader was confident, "But I will end this easily with this move." He stepped forward and swung his sword down, his gaze sharp as he thought to himself, "I've won." Nam Gungdong stepped down into the arena with confidence, a victorious smile on his face, declaring, "It's over." The crowd watching the battle suddenly erupted in cheers, unbelievable. How could this happen? That statement puzzled Nam Gungdong. He turned to look back, and Desua was still standing there, unscathed. Nam Gungdong couldn't believe it, wondering, did he really evade the attack of an ultimate expert like the guild leader? Nam Gungxing, dissatisfied, turned to the guild leader and urged, "Guild leader, what are you doing? Attack now." The guild leader paused for a moment and then charged at Desua with his sword, his voice filled with anger, "I don't know how you withstood the last attack, but this will truly end now." Seeing the tip of the sword about to stab him, Desua was terrified, his hair standing on end. Ba Zun appeared just in time, his powerful arm swinging down to block the guild leader's sword strike. He exclaimed, "Amitba, you held on well." Ba Zun clenched his fist, a massive energy enveloping his arm, and delivered a punch straight to the guild leader's stomach, sending him flying. Desua grasped his shoulder, complaining, "You should have come a bit faster, I almost died." Ba Zun looked at him, helpless, "I saved you, you ungrateful brat." Suddenly, a loud explosion rang out, sending everyone flying. Old Meng Kong appeared before Desua, shouting, "That's enough." Nam Gungjing stamped his foot, his gaze full of determination. Desua looked at the scene before him and exclaimed, "Indeed, one mountain after another." Nam Gungjing stepped out of the smoke, his large hand tightly gripping the head of a team member. "Not bad, young master," he sneered, then threw the person far away. The thrown individual crashed hard to the ground in front of Desua. Nam Gungjing calmly said, "The flowing cloud body movement of Jiansang sect, the heavenly secret bewildering steps of the Jia Cat clan, the flying flow technique of Qingqing sect, from Tianyun sect to the supreme ultimate swordsmanship of Wu Dang. You can freely perform martial arts from various sects like that, it truly is miraculous." He stroked his chin, sneering, "Now, even if your meridians are disrupted and your inner strength explodes, it wouldn't be surprising if you lose your life." Nam Gungjing approached Desua and asked, "How is a monster like this created?" Meng Kong pointed his sword at him, grinning provocatively, "Of course, it was born this way." Nam Gungjing shouted, his voice filled with excitement, "Is that so? Will the little young master become a little monster?" Meng Kong laughed along, "Yes, he's still just a kid." The two of them were in sync as if they had made a prior agreement. Desua, hearing this, bristled, "Ah, really, why do you keep calling him a kid? It's so annoying." Nam Gungjing waved his hand, commanding, "You all step back." Everyone obediently complied, understood. Desua looked at everyone stepping back, still not understanding what was happening, and wondered, what? Why are the team members stepping back? Wait, isn't this an opportunity? He moved closer to Meng Kong and pointed ahead, he's all alone, so if we charge together, can't we easily win? Meng Kong turned his head to look at him and angrily shouted, you better step back. Desua, confused, asked, huh? He stepped back, wondering, what's going on? Why is he suddenly angry? Ba Zun looked at him, sighed, young master, you've never seen a duel between experts, have you? He looked out towards Meng Kong, thinking to himself, it seems like he wants to show the young master something. Ba Zun turned to Desua and said, young master, from now on, observe carefully every movement of those two. The ground beneath Meng Kang's feet gradually cracked. Then both of them suddenly sank down, and the ceramic tile also broke wide open. Everything that witnesses at this moment will become valuable experience for Desua, greatly aiding his future martial arts training. Nam Gungjing smiled slyly, stop the useless show, it's still not too late to ask for help. If the opponent is me, you don't have to worry about being humiliated even if you team up to attack me. Meng Kong, not to be outdone, replied, Amitabha Buddha, I want to test my strength against you once. Without hesitation, Nam Gungjing threw a punch at Meng Kong, shouting, once I kill you, then it will be the old monk's turn. As soon as his blow fell, it was blocked by Meng Kang's sword. Every strike from Nam Gungjing was precisely parried by Meng Kong. He turned to Desua and instructed, young master, pay close attention. Although he did not fully understand the intentions, Desua still watched the two intently. Meng Kong began to demonstrate the techniques, explaining to him, these are the most basic skills of the Wu Dang sect martial arts, and they are also the most important. Meanwhile, Nam Gungjing continuously unleashed vicious blows, shouting, how ridiculous. He focused, inner chi erupting like a volcano into his punch. Try to break this move. Meng Kong gripped his sword tightly, his serious gaze fixed ahead. He closed his eyes, feeling each drop of water falling. Around him, swirling currents of energy roared fiercely. Desua looked on in alarm, he's trying to break all those unreasonable attacks. The battle suddenly quieted down. Meng Kong scoffed, indeed talented. I truly envy you, being so strong thanks to a gift that others lack. Nam Gungjing was so angry that the veins on his forehead bulged, biting his lower lip, are you implying that I was born with stronger divine power than others, like a well-developed physique? Meng Kong laughed at this, exactly, it's innate, and your well-developed physique as you say isn't wrong either. You've acknowledged it, no need for more words. Nam Gungjing gritted his teeth in anger. Desua, both angry and panicked, pushed the old man Ba Zun and shouted, no, this old man has gone mad. Why provoke others to reveal their true strength? Ba Zun then explained, young master, don't you understand? He's doing this on purpose so that young master can see the full strength of both of them. In the middle of the arena, Nam Gungjing's inner chi erupted violently. But Meng Kong stood there, calm as ever. Desua awkwardly asked, what are we looking at? Old Ba Zun gazed intently at the two. When they fight with all their might, they can achieve the unimaginable. Look closely, that posture is what the young master aims for. Nam Gungjing stood in the center of the arena, inner chi enveloping him, oppressing everyone around. He gritted his teeth, the weak always find excuses to justify their failures. The pressure from him terrified Meng Kong. He is angry. You only see the present and not the effort I have put in, he opened his eyes wide, declaring with authority. The more people like this, the less I pay attention to them. Today, I will use this strength to crush you. He lunged forward quickly, charging at Meng Kong, shaking the entire arena. I'm coming. Seeing the powerful punch coming his way, Meng Kong grimaced in fear. His sword blocked the attack, but his body lost balance and slid backward. He quickly thrust his sword upward, redirecting the punch behind him. However, the inner chi still clung tightly to the sword, its terrifying power making it hard for him to withstand. Desua panicked, what is that big-nosed old man being attacked by? I can't see Elder Nam Gungjing anywhere. Meng Kong stood firm, the lightning strikes from inner chi continuously overwhelming him. Ba Zun reminded, you should use your 5 senses to perceive. Then you can detect even the slightest movements of him. Desuo raised his hands, confused, used the five senses. He closed his eyes to feel the currents of air around him. Suddenly, he opened his eyes wide and shouted, "I see him." Nam Gungjing appeared, leaping up and launching an attack towards Meng Kong. The powerful strike came down, and Meng Kong decisively swung his sword up. The collision created a dazzling light, and Desuo was startled. He hit him. Nam Gungjing turned and threw another punch. Meng Kong continuously swung his sword to block each blow. Between the two, light flashed, yet his eyes remained tightly shut. Desuo panicked, eyes closed. How can he know to attack? Every movement of Nam Gungjing was thoroughly perceived by him. No move escaped his control. From the smallest details, every punch was blocked by him. Nam Gungjing was knocked back, but remained undeterred. He continued to move forward. With a high jump, he chose to attack from the air. The surrounding water surged violently, making his opponent think, the resonance is so great that inner chi cannot be seen. Meng Kong calmly recalled Desuo's question, "Old Big Nose, what if you can't read the opponent's inner chi?" He stood in front of him, patiently instructing, "In that case, just create a new stream of inner chi." While blocking each of his attacks, Meng Kong thought, the Supreme Ultimate Wisdom Sword is fundamentally a swordsmanship aimed at the opponent's inner chi. Nam Gungjing, still unaware, continued to smugly target Meng Kong, as lightning struck down onto the arena. Desuo panicked, "That's lightning from the sky, how can one predict it?" Meng Kong turned to look at him and smiled, "If I hadn't encountered this child, I might not have escaped it." He calmly sensed the waves around him, this is not merely following the inner chi. He swung his sword, and it was indeed the swordsmanship that created a new inner chi. Sharp sword strikes emerged in a stream of consciousness, a type of free swordsmanship unbound, worthy of its name. Nam Gungjing, with a face full of fierce energy, dove down, and Meng Kong opened his eyes, calmly swinging a sword stroke. The strike immediately severed Nam Gungjing. He silently thought, unmatched swordsmanship. Despite being attacked to the point of a slight burn on his wrist, Nam Gungjing was still excited, saying, "This martial arts is something I've never seen before, truly amazing." Meng Kong panted on the stage, smiling, "You too. The thunder technique you used really opened my eyes. I have a title I want to bestow upon you, Thunder Emperor." He scratched his chin, chuckling, "Thunder Emperor? Wonderful, very wonderful." He spread his legs wide, channeling inner chi into his palm, "To express my gratitude for that title, I have this move I want you to witness." Lightning enveloped his fist, radiating an oppressive aura. The lightning turned purple, shining densely. Meng Kong felt goosebumps as he watched. "You want to explode with inner chi?" He provoked, "It would be a pity not to witness that." Nam Gungjing laughed heartily, shouting, "I like you already." He unleashed his strongest punch, roaring, cross-strike. Meng Kong was no less, channeling inner chi into his sword, pointing it towards him. Seeing the attack approaching, he unleashed his move, Endless, Unbroken, Second Strike, Endless 10,000. The two strikes collided, creating a huge explosion, smoke billowing throughout the arena. Desuo struggled to open his eyes and looked towards them, the shouts of those around him echoing, "Who is it? Who won?" He widened his eyes in fear as a shadow flickered in and out of the thick smoke, making him anxious. Could it be? As the mist gradually cleared, Nam Gungjing stood there, his team cheering, "How could our elder lose?" Desuo and the others turned pale, mumbling, "This is bad." Nam Gungjing's heavy body fell, leaving him confused. His body hit the training ground hard. Meng Kong appeared, sighing in relief, "I thought this life was lost for sure." Everyone saw him rejoicing, "That's how it should be, right? The champion with the big nose." Nam Gungdong murmured from the side, "No way." His team was also stunned, Elder Nam Gungjing lost. Impossible. Desuo quickly ran to Meng Kong, nudging him, "Awesome. What was that final move? Teach me." He grimaced, "Stop talking, I'm so tired I feel like fainting." Looking at the group on the other side, his gaze was filled with evil energy as he stared at them. He mumbled, "It seems they intend to fight until the last person falls." Hearing this, Desuo chuckled softly, "Just wait, I have thought of a way to end this martial arts contest." Desua calmly stepped in front of everyone, his gaze cold yet full of confidence. Ladies and gentlemen of the Shanggong Sword Guild, I have a special proposal to present. His voice rang out clearly, capturing everyone's attention. The guild leader's face flushed with anger as he pointed his sword at Desua, growling, "Do you think we will easily give up?" Desua did not respond. Instead, he gently approached Nam Gungxing, whispering sincerely into his ear, "The guild leader wants to end this match just like the elder, doesn't he?" The statement was like a veiled threat, causing Nam Gungxing's face to turn pale. He glanced around the training ground, marked with traces of the battle, and calmly continued, "If you have ever witnessed high-level competitions, surely you feel the itch to fight. But if you want to battle, you should seek out that old one-armed man, not a little guy like me." Ba Zun, upon hearing this, immediately raised his head, his sharp gaze following Desua. Desua smiled slyly, his eyes filled with malice directed at Nam Gungxing. "If you agree to stop here, I will take responsibility and arrange a satisfying match for the two of you. Whenever you want, just come to me." Then he turned to Meng Kang's team, a friendly smile appearing on his face. "But if you refuse, there won't be any match worth watching as you expect. You will only join forces with them and end everything in a dull manner." In this dilemma, Nam Gungxing pondered deeply. Finally, he stepped forward to Nam Gungdong, bowing respectfully. "Please forgive me, I will take responsibility for this." Nam Gungdong was bewildered, not understanding what was happening. "What?" Nam Gungxing said nothing more and stepped down from the stage. The host immediately announced, "Nam Gungxing is eliminated." Desua smiled triumphantly. For the martial men of the Nam Gung clan, victory is not the ultimate goal, but rather the enhancement of strength through battles with worthy opponents. He looked around and asked, "Do you all think so too?" The eyes of everyone clearly showed hesitation. Desua continued to provoke, "I will help you find a worthy opponent, so let's stop here." The whole team fell silent, and the swords were gradually placed down on the ground. They turned back respectfully and said, "Nam Gung young master, please forgive us." Nam Gung Dong watched the scene, gritting his teeth in anger, cursing inwardly, "A bunch of fools." The host shouted loudly, "In this competition, Desua wins." Upon hearing this, Desua jumped up in joy, celebrating with everyone, "We've won, we've defeated the Nam Gung clan." Cheers echoed everywhere. "Qing Long team is the champion, great fight." Ba Zun and Meng Kong both showed clear pride. The audience erupted, "9 demons, 9 dragons, 9 dragons." Desua turned away in frustration, muttering, "I'm the only one who can't hear anything." Suddenly, a voice called out, "Desua, Desua." He turned back happily, asking, "What is it? Who is calling me?" On the second-floor corridor, Nam Gung Yang, full of excitement, shouted, "Fourth young master, fourth young master, over here, over here." Desua embarrassedly turned away, as someone teased him, pointing, "He's calling the fourth young master." He shook his head, saying, "I don't know him." Shuang Yen, Huaya, and Lian hurriedly ran over, "Young master." Desua smiled, "Sisters." In his heart, he thought, "Thank goodness, I can keep them here." They approached, ruffling his hair and pinching his cheeks, continuously scolding, "What's wrong? Your face is too pale, and your skin is wrinkled." Suddenly, a strange hand appeared in Desua's line of sight. He looked up and saw Nam Gung Dong friendly extending his hand towards him. "I'm really surprised, I have truly lost." Desua awkwardly scratched his head and shook his hand, "It's just luck on my part, if we were to fight again, I couldn't possibly win against you." Nam Gung Dong joked, "Little guy, pretending again." Then he calmly turned away to make way for the victor. Nam Gung Dong suddenly realized something. He turned back, and his eyes immediately met Shuang Yan's gaze. She gently bowed her head to greet him. Desua stood beside her, full of astonishment, thinking, why is the atmosphere between them so strange? Just then, a large bag of money flew towards Desua. He quickly caught it. From a distance, old Jiang Meng approached, holding a box full of silver, smiling as he said, "Thanks to you, I have collected quite a bit." Desua burst out laughing, "So you bet on me? The two of us are so in sync that even our smiles are alike." Huaya, witnessing the scene, couldn't help but exclaim, "You two are becoming more and more alike." Nam Gung-yang approached, his face beaming. Young master, how can we let such a beautiful day pass by without enjoyment? Desuo boldly pointed to the sky and declared, all right, I'll treat today. Everyone turned to him, suddenly cheering. Jiang Meng also stepped forward to add, don't worry about drinks, food, or wine, I've already prepared everything. Desuo smiled with satisfaction. Money is not an issue, if I were to save today, it would be like being stingy. The people around then shouted, long live the old master. He angrily retorted, I'm the one paying here. Meanwhile, a group of elders sat silently, deep in thought. One of them frowned and muttered, this is not a normal situation. He looked towards the guild leader, struggling to continue, the elder of the Nam Gung clan has failed, and even the Shanggong Sword Guild, one of the key factions, has to admit defeat. For the martial world, Nam Gung is like an insurmountable sky. He clenched his fists and said in a low voice, yet today, because of them, that sky has cracked. Another man crossed his arms and coldly remarked, the monsters have returned to the clan, led by the fourth young master. Desuo led the group, with the others quietly following behind. One man calmly stated, now we can be sure Desuo will be the successor of the Nam Gung clan. News of Qin Long's victory over the Shanggong Sword Guild quickly spread throughout the martial world. Those who came to watch the match could not stop discussing it excitedly as they left, saying, I never expected to witness such an extraordinary match. They walked along the road, continuously praising, attracting the attention of a beggar. The beggar exclaimed in panic, Tian Long. A treacherous move. He hurriedly packed his things and ran to an abandoned house, breathlessly calling out, gang leader, there's big news. He pushed the door open forcefully and shouted, big news, gang leader, don't sleep anymore, get up quickly. The gang leader, lying on a tattered mat, let out an annoyed sigh, sat up, and mumbled, is it mealtime already? The image of an old man appeared in the beggar's mind. He said loudly, master is at the Nam Gung clan. The other guy asked in confusion, what? At the Wu Dang sect, they could already hear the shout from the gate, senior brother. One person exclaimed, he's still alive, named Meng Kong, and he defeated elder Nam Gung Zheng. The other replied, that's right, uncle is at the Nam Gung clan. He panicked, shouldn't we go to the Nam Gung clan to bring uncle back immediately? He frowned and said, that's because you don't know how treacherous the Nam Gung clan is. If he doesn't leave on his own, we can't do anything. For now, let's wait for the right opportunity and assess the situation first. At the Shaolin temple, Ming Ji angrily stormed off with his staff. Ming Shan chased after him, advising, Abbot, please calm down a bit. He turned around and shouted, how can I possibly stand still? When I hear that master is sleeping soundly at Nam Gung while no one is taking care of the Shaolin temple. Ming Shan hesitated, his eyes showing confusion, everything is still intact, isn't this a good omen for the martial world? Ba Zun is still alive. Hearing this, he gradually softened his tone. Ming Ji turned to ask, Desuo. How old is the child that master chose this year? Ming Shan replied, about 13 years old. Upon hearing this, he burst into a loud laugh, then we must go meet him. Besides master, there must be many others as well. I'm very curious about the child that master personally chose. Meanwhile, their master continued to chuckle with delight, pouring more wine for Desuo. Desuo looked at the scene before him, pulling his hair in panic, what is this? His eyes darted around, seeing people from the strategist palace on one side and people from the medical hall on the other. He felt even more terrified when he noticed that people from Huijin Pavilion were also present. Lian Ran walked over, smiling as he patted Desuo on the shoulder, today is a joyous day, shouldn't everyone enjoy it together? Moreover, young master is treating us as well. Desuo clenched his fists, gritting his teeth as he thought, I didn't intend to treat all of them. He stood up and shouted, fine, let's just say they are related to the sisters. Then he pointed to another table, but why are both second senior brother and Shanggong Sword Guild here? Nam Gung Dong looked at him with a teasing smile, I heard that guild leader Nam Gung Xing said you invited us, didn't he? He laughed heartily. Looking at Desuo's displeased face, he thought to himself, my younger brother will host a grand feast. As the senior brother, how can I just sit still? Anyone could tell he was venting his anger on the loser. Nam Gung Yang approached him, slurring his words, so what? If it were me, I would have gathered all the warriors. As a direct descendant of the Nam Gung clan, you should be a bit more magnanimous. Desua's expression darkened, his fists clenched tightly as he growled, are you trying to add fuel to the fire? He continued, for me, this atmosphere isn't too bad. Desua's fist froze. Looking around, everywhere was lively, people were embracing each other as if nothing had happened. Everyone was gathered, bustling and noisy. Nam Gungjang and Meng Kong acted as if nothing was amiss, still toasting each other. Just a few hours ago, they were eager to point their swords at each other, wishing they could kill their opponent. Now, they laughed and joked like families gathering on a holiday. Desua looked on in agreement, thinking to himself, that makes sense. He turned to Nam Gungyang and asked, how much money did I make today? Nam Gungyang calculated silently and then said, let's see, since you bet 200 liang, you have won 200,000 liang. Hearing this, Desua smiled and said loudly, all right, since the winnings are so high, let them eat and drink to their heart's content. Everyone shouted in unison, drink, drink until we are drunk. Nam Gungyang added, this is truly wonderful. They all got drunk together, shouting, drink, drink. Others jumped onto the table and danced, I can't help but dance in such a joyful place. Everyone applauded for him, very nice. Nam Gungjang, flushed from drinking, patted Ba Zun on the shoulder and pointed at himself, Ba Zun, let's have a match. Nam Gungxing pulled him back from behind, elder, please wait in line, even if you are an elder, you cannot cut in. Nam Gungdong calmly continued drinking, ignoring the noise, guild leader, you are drunk. The three maidens also gathered together, laughing and chatting, sisters, did you see the young master flying up and dodging the attacks? Hua Ye shouted, of course. He moves as swiftly as a squirrel. Suddenly, footsteps were heard outside the gate, and Nam Gung Han pushed the door open, causing everyone to be stunned. Seeing him, Desua immediately spat out all the wine. Father, why are you here? Nam Gungyang, who was drunk, paused for a moment when he saw him. He couldn't distinguish between heaven and earth, and rudely pointed at him, oh my, who is this? Isn't he the head of our clan? Everyone glared at him in anger, thinking to themselves, shut up, you bastard. He boldly threw his arm around Nam Gung Han's shoulder and laughed, saying, why is everyone suddenly so quiet? I still want to have some fun. Everyone silently pleaded with him, please stop. Desua panicked and murmured, if this continues, we will all die, we need to find a way out. Nam Gung Lin stood up amidst someone's shout, right, what's so good about Elder Nam Gung anyway? He raised his hand calmly and said, suddenly, I'm not feeling well, so I must take my leave. Young master, please enjoy yourselves. Nam Gung Zheng was stunned, standing rigidly as he watched him leave. Old Jiang Meng quickly looked for an excuse, I have an important matter tomorrow, I must leave early. Everyone began to rise and take their leave. One said, oh no, I forgot to take care of the patient. Another added, I also need to go to bed, I forgot there's an elder meeting tomorrow. The vice guild leader turned to Nam Gungxing and asked, guild leader, didn't you say we would practice for the match? He nodded, that's right. Desua watched the scene, his eyes reddening with anger, those cowardly people, only living for themselves. Nam Gungdong stepped forward, taking the initiative to speak, father. He felt as if he had struck gold and thought to himself, that's right, if it's the second senior brother. Unexpectedly, he only bowed his head and said, see you later. Desua was taken aback, is that okay? Most people had already left, leaving only old Meng Kong lying drunk on the ground. Nam Gung Han picked up a bottle of wine and calmly said, this is good wine. Then he used inner chi to lift the untouched bottles of wine and turned to command, follow me. Desua silently cried inside, huh? Why are you telling me to follow? I don't want to go. Nevertheless, he stuttered, I obey your orders. The father and son climbed onto the roof, sitting and sipping wine. Desua sighed, I never expected I would be standing on the roof of the family master's hall. Looking into the distance, he wondered, huh? Could it be that the group of people who fled earlier has returned to gather as if nothing happened? Desua yelled. A bunch of wicked people, leaving me all alone. Li Han looked into the distance, clicking his tongue. TSK, look at that, because of you, innocent people are getting shot without reason. Nam Gung Han took a sip of wine and sighed in annoyance. Desua looked at his father, filled with curiosity. It's strange, no matter how you look at it, that's my father I see every day, he wondered. Why do I feel like he seems a bit lonely today? Could that be why he came here? Desua recalled the rumors. Father sometimes resembles an ordinary person. He stepped forward and proactively poured wine for Nam Gung Han. To Li Han's surprise, he spoke up. I've heard people say. Desua smiled at his father. If you want to learn how to drink, you must definitely ask father. He looked at the full cup of wine, remaining silent. The heavy atmosphere made Desua anxious. Did I say something foolish? Why does he look so pensive? Just smile, will you? He awkwardly scratched his head. So I think. Then he sat down, closing himself off, and flashed a bright smile. Father seems a bit lonely, so I think if you smile, it might help. The boy's sunny smile left him stunned. Nam Gung Han seemed to remember his deceased wife, pondering. Why did she look at me and smile then? The wife merely covered her mouth and chuckled. He asked, was I really that funny at that time? The wife gently replied, how could that be? When I saw you, I felt sad and regretful. I wanted to fill your empty gaze with a smile. He was confused, why? The wife sincerely answered, because I want you to be happy, even without me by your side. I hope our child will smile for you. The smile on Desua's face was forced. He looked into his wine cup and smiled lightly, insincerely. He sipped his wine and said, who says a father must teach his son to drink? That's ridiculous, don't be naive. Desua was taken aback, just now, clearly. Looking at his always cold-faced father, he exclaimed, father just smiled. Li Han panicked, what? I didn't catch that. Desua continued pouring wine, laughing as he said, oh, he smiled joyfully thinking to himself, I never thought I would live to see this. Ha ha. After a night of indulgence, everyone lay scattered in the courtyard, deep in sleep. Desua lay on the bed, holding his head, what a groan, how much did I drink yesterday? Someone brought him a bowl of detox soup, softly saying. Wake up, drinking this soup will help you feel better. Desua, feeling like he had found a savior, quickly took the bowl of soup. After finishing it, he turned and smiled brightly, I'm alive again, thank you bald old man. But upon a closer look, he was surprised to realize that the person was actually his third senior brother. Desua flustered, quickly put on his robe and asked, when did you come in? Nam Gung Shan replied sternly, the rumor that you are throwing a celebration for your victory in the match has spread throughout the clan. Yesterday, while observing your duel, I decided something. Desua asked in confusion, what did you decide? Nam Gung Shan said seriously, I have decided to go into seclusion to prepare for the Battle of Four Kings, since you will also be participating there. Then he looked directly at Desua and declared, I will win this time in the Battle of Four Kings and become the outstanding heir. Desua, puzzled, repeated, Battle of Four Kings. Nam Gung Shan turned to leave and said, I've said everything I needed to say, now I'm off. Take care of yourself. Before leaving, he turned back and smiled at Desua, I was very pleased yesterday, the expression of defeat on second senior brother's face was extremely interesting. Desua suddenly realized something. He murmured, Battle of Four Kings, Battle of Four Kings. Then he slapped his forehead, laughing loudly, that's right, Battle of Four Kings, why didn't I think of that? Images of this prestigious competition flashed in his mind, where warriors under 20 from various sects would compete. The Battle of Four Kings would select a junior king in 4 categories, Young Sword King, Young Fist King, Young Blade King, and Young Spear King. Notably, the 4 final winners would face each other, and the last one standing would be hailed as the true dragon of the era, becoming the outstanding heir. Desua recalled his previous life when his elder brother had also participated in the Battle of Four Kings and wanted to compete against their father. His second senior brother had previously won and demanded secret information related to the martial world. Suddenly, he felt excited, jumped out of bed, and shouted, I never thought I would participate in the Battle of Four Kings, but now it's different. He raised his hand and slapped his bicep, telling himself, I am stronger than before. There are 2 years until the Battle of Four Kings, and I must prepare thoroughly. Desua pondered deeply, thinking about what would happen if he won that battle. The only thing he wanted was to give up his direct position in the Nam Gung clan and confidently step out of the shadow of his family. With determination in his heart, Desua rushed towards the door, flung it open, and shouted, "Wake everyone up. Starting today, special training for the Battle of Four Kings will begin." Everyone was still groggy, and Desua continued to shout loudly, "Everyone wake up. We must defeat the three brothers in the Battle of Four Kings." As the others were still not fully awake, Desua stood before them, gesturing with his hand, "All of you must help me plan how to become stronger in the next 2 years. One person hesitantly raised his hand and asked, "Excuse me." He held his stomach, his face pale. "When will the hangover remedy be available?" "My stomach." Desua angrily shouted, "Go get it yourself." At this moment, Ba-Zoon stepped forward, hurriedly advising, "I understand why the young master is in such a rush. Is it because progress is too slow?" His words seemed to touch Desua's heart. Ba-Zoon cheerfully patted his shoulder, "There's nothing to worry about. All warriors, whether fast or slow, will eventually face their own wall." The people around also chimed in, "To break through that wall. No one else but yourself must realize this." Another person added, "That's right, we have done everything we could, now it's time for you to figure it out on your own." Desua frowned, grinding his teeth in frustration, "So in the end, I have to do everything myself? I can't rely on anyone at all." The people around frowned, murmuring, "That's outrageous." Meng Kong pointed directly at him and calmly said, "If so, why doesn't the young master try to practice the martial arts he has learned again?" Desua was surprised, "Huh?" He held his head in panic, "I have trained so hard that my head feels like it's being hammered, and now you want me to start all over again?" Meng Kong gently advised, "Please listen to me. When learning martial arts for the first time, you need to understand its intent clearly. From long-range martial arts to close combat and assassination," he explained, "how strong or weak this martial arts is, whether it benefits the individual or the group, whether to fight head-on or to assassinate. But the young master has gone in a different direction." Meng Kong sighed, "The young master should use his mind to understand first before practicing with his body, but you have done the opposite." He gently added, "Although it takes time, this is the standard and most effective method." Desua slapped his hand, "So that's how it is." Meng Kong asked, "How many techniques have you practiced, young master?" Desua looked up, thought for a moment, and then began to count: swordsmanship 33 techniques, saber techniques 15 techniques, fist technique 25, foot technique 10, assassination technique 6, poison technique 9, earth technique 5, stealth technique 7, movement technique 29. In addition, there are 18 types of military aura, each with 15 techniques, totaling about 154 techniques. Meng Kong was shocked, sighed, "That's quite a lot. If you were to relearn all these techniques from the basics, it would take at least 10 years. Desua trembled and stammered, 10 years. Meng Kong tried to console him, but he was certain of one thing: in 10 years, the young master would become the most formidable warrior in the martial world. Desua shouted, "No, I said I want to win the Battle of Four Kings in 2 years." Everyone around looked at him with admiration, his will to win was truly strong. Desua anxiously thought of the illusion realm being defeated by the third brother, "If not, I will be stabbed in the stomach by a saber." Ba-Zoon stroked his chin, "If that's the case, then it's not without a solution." Desua jumped up, "What do you mean?" Ba-Zoon stopped him, leaving him feeling disappointed, "No, I think this method is completely unfeasible." Desua pointed behind him, "If he doesn't speak, I will order the steward to never meet him again." He turned towards the lady and called, "Steward." Ba-Zoon grabbed him, "How can you use private matters for public affairs?" Desua ignored him and continued walking, despite the old man clutching his clothes. "I understand now, I will speak, is that enough?" Ba-Zoon panted, clutching his chest and asked, "Does the young master know about the wanderers?" Desua replied, confused, "Wanderers are those warriors who roam about, always drifting from place to place." Ba-Zoon continued, "Exactly, they cannot approach martial arts in a conventional way because they have no master to guide them. They must fight in real situations rather than through training to hone their skills and gain enlightenment. Therefore, young master, you should participate in real battles like the wanderers to practice martial arts better." Desuo realized, real combat experience. He pointed behind him, can't I train with the uncles and the people of Namgung? Ba Zun waved his hand, you should engage with opponents of similar ideals, not with old men like us. He continued, moreover, young master is also the nominal heir of Namgung, so we cannot fight with you either. Desuo stood there, his eyes filled with sadness as he watched everyone leave in different directions. A deep sense of regret welled up inside him. He felt lost and thought to himself, this is serious. Looking at the birds freely soaring in the sky, he wondered, in this peaceful era, where do I go to find a worthy opponent? Do I really have to give up the Battle of Four Kings? I originally used this competition to vie for the title of Little Family Master. He lowered his head to look at his hands, his voice full of despair, if that's the case, then so be it. Memories of the victory alongside his friends in the battle against second senior brother flooded back. Desuo clenched his fists, his gaze becoming resolute. He turned to Ba Zun and said with determination, I cannot give up the Battle of Four Kings. Ba Zun smiled and nodded, oh. Desuo continued, his voice full of resolve, I must find a way. For now, I will train hard. He wandered aimlessly in the training yard, nervously biting his nails. A month has passed, and my strength has not improved at all. Panic rose within him, third brother has gone into seclusion to cultivate, I wonder how strong he is now. How long do I have to wait? Recalling Ba Zun's scolding of him. He sighed, they keep telling me to go out for some fresh air, so here I am, but what should I do now? Suddenly, he realized something and turned around, seeing the strategist palace appear behind him. Desuo mumbled, wandering around and I've already reached the strategist palace. Since I'm here, I might as well visit Huaya's sister. He opened the door, poked his head in, and called out, sister. But he only saw Nam Gung Dong slumped over the table, fast asleep, drool dripping down. Desuo frowned, wondering, is this guy really the vice strategist? Nam Gung Yang jolted awake, and upon seeing Desuo, he became alert, little young master, what brings you here? Desuo replied calmly, I just took a stroll. He looked at Nam Gung Yang, noticing something on his mouth, what's that on your mouth? Nam Gung Yang unexpectedly peeled off a piece of paper, oh, I was sorting the records of those with good performances in the Battle of Four Kings. Desuo, curious, picked up the stack of papers, huh? Let me see. Suddenly, his eyes lit up, this is. He was overjoyed as if he had struck gold, this is it. He immediately dashed out of the room. Nam Gung Yang hurriedly chased after him and asked, young master, where are you going? Desuo turned back and said loudly, I'm going to see my second brother. Nam Gung Yang smiled brightly, what are you planning to do? Can I come along? Desuo shouted, not at all. He joyfully exclaimed, I have found a way. In Nam Gung Dong's residence, he was sitting and enjoying tea when he looked at Desuo and asked, what did you just say? Desuo excitedly replied, I want to ask you to find the secret book of Shaolin Temple. He pleaded, isn't it true that if I win the duel, you will fulfill my request? Nam Gung Dong nodded, if you want to find it, it's not impossible, but I have something to ask you. Desuo eagerly said, go ahead and ask. Nam Gung Dong stared intently at Desuo, his tone questioning, what are you planning to do at the Battle of Four Kings? The oppressive atmosphere made Desuo break out in a cold sweat, thinking to himself, he really knows I will participate in the Battle of Four Kings, I shouldn't deceive him, I'll just tell the truth. He resolutely stated, I want to win the championship. Nam Gung Dong scoffed, you want to defeat the third brother. Desuo nodded, his eyes full of determination, that's right. Nam Gung Dong slammed the table, pointed at Desuo, and excitedly said, very good. I will fulfill your request, my brother. Nam Gung followed Desuo, holding a full backpack. He clapped his hands to signal everyone gather around, we will head to the Shaolin Temple. The first three. Nam Gung raised his hand joyfully, ta. Desuo frowned and curled one finger, two left. Ba Zun asked in surprise, Amitba. What wind brought you to the Shaolin Temple? Desuo replied firmly, I will go for practical experience. Ba Zun looked at him and nodded, the Shaolin Temple should be good. Meng Kong closed his eyes in agreement, of course it will be, but the Shaolin Temple is not easy to enter, they will not accept a young master. The Suo looked at the stack of books he brought back and smiled gleefully. That's why we need to bait them. Just throw them a lure that they can't escape from. Mr. Meng Kong was excited. How can I not follow along with such fun? Ba Zun sighed heavily. If this involves the Shaolin Temple, then I cannot avoid it. The Suo appeared delighted. We will set off right away. Everything is ready, so let's gather here. Nam Gung Yang called out to him anxiously. Young master, has the family master agreed to let you go yet? Mentioning his father, the Suo suddenly remembered and murmured, ah, right. Stepping out of the main hall, seeing everyone cheerful, the Suo sighed in relief. It turns out to be simpler than I thought. He suddenly recalled his father's words, when you come back, remember to buy good wine. The Suo chuckled softly to himself, send a wine lover to buy wine, huh? Looking at the two old men carrying large bags, he wondered, what is this pile of luggage? Are you two moving? Meng Kong laughed heartily. It's been a while since we've traveled the martial world, so we must prepare thoroughly. A foul smell wafted into his nose, and De Suo wrinkled it in confusion. What is that smell? He looked at Nam Gung Yang, who was tightly clutching the pile of luggage like a treasure, and asked in alarm, hey, what are you carrying? Why so many kinds of herbs? Nam Gung Yang shouted, these are all my tonics, don't touch them. Let me see a little. No way. Nam Gung Yang warned, I'm going alone. In the distance, horse-drawn carriages piled high with goods were approaching in a line. Nam Gung Yang joyfully exclaimed, young master, look over there. Just at the right time, a merchant guild arrived in Henan. How do you see hitching a ride? The Suo shook his head, no, we should keep our identity as the Nam Gung clan hidden. He pointed at the map, this is the fastest route from Anhui to Henan. Nam Gung Yang was surprised, huh? Is there really such a strange road? The Suo smiled, if there isn't, I will create one. Nam Gung Yang was still confused, huh? He tightly held on to his luggage and shouted as they climbed the cliff. Meng Kong reminded him, don't look down, if you fall, you won't even find your bones. The four of them continued their journey across the hills. Nam Gung Yang couldn't keep up with the other three and could only shout, wait a moment. He got stuck in the river, and Meng Kong urged, hurry up, or you'll be left behind. Ba Zun chuckled, while the Suo could only sigh. Nam Gung Yang was both angry and crying, I'm not a warrior like them, why does life push me into this group? Finally, he made it to the shore, panting heavily. Looking at the bustling market, Nam Gung Yang wondered, is this Henan? Why are there so many warriors here? He exclaimed, compared to Anhui with the Nam Gung clan, this place is truly the land of martial men. Meng Kong smiled at him, if you clash with the people here, it will be troublesome. The Suo agreed, that's right. Nam Gung Yang collapsed on the ground, I'm not going anymore. He was out of breath, young master, I'm too tired to take another step. Ba Zun advised, you should train hard. The Suo pointed at himself and said with a smile, I was planning to stop by an inn to have a meal and take a bath, right? Upon hearing about a break, Nam Gung Yang immediately jumped up, excited. Let's go, I know a very good inn. The two old men saw this and angrily hit his head, are your legs still fine? Nam Gung Yang fell silent and fell into deep thought. He sighed, I never expected to step into this shabby inn. The Suo laughed loudly, are you talking big? Remembering the scene of being kicked out by the innkeeper, he said, do you think this is a place where a low-level warrior like you can enter? Nam Gung Yang clenched his fists and gritted his teeth, I used the identity token of a low-level martial man to hide my identity, but I couldn't even look at the inn and got kicked out. When I return to the clan, I will definitely change things so that low-level warriors can comfortably enter branches nationwide. The Suo gently placed the stack of books on the table, flashed a bright smile, and suggested, now that we've taken a break, let's discuss the main topic. Looking at his pile of books, Meng Kong couldn't help but exclaim, so this is what you had in your bag. Ba Zun's face turned as dark as ink, frowning, too many, all of this belongs to the Nam Gung clan. Then he ordered, Nam Gung Yang, you need to investigate the financial situation and the maximum amount that Shaolin Temple can borrow from surrounding sources. Nam Gung Yang smugly replied, you want to find out the secrets without revealing your identity, right? The Suo nodded in confirmation, exactly. Nam Gung Yang grinned mischievously and continued, the beggar sect can gather information very quickly, but they belong to the 5 factions like Shaolin, so there's a risk that our information could be exposed. The Suo asked curiously, so what then? Remembering that the remaining faction was filled with profit-seekers, Nam Gung Yang continued, we are left with the lower-ranked sects, but it will require a lot of money to persuade them. The Suo reached into his robe, smiling smugly, money is not something I need to worry about. He held up a golden token and said, because Jiang Meng has lent us the Merchant Guild's prestigious token. Nam Gung Yang exclaimed, old Jiang Meng is truly generous. The Suo began assigning tasks. Find information about the black market on the way to the Xia Wu sect. That is where all items of the martial world are traded. Nam Gung received the order, at your command. He looked at the other 2 to assign roles. Big-nosed old man, stay by Nam Gung Yang's side to assist when needed. Bald old man, investigate the movements of the Shaolin temple. The 2 responded in unison, understood. Ba Zun asked, young master, what exactly do you plan to do at the Shaolin temple? The Suo wondered, what to do? After thinking for a moment, he smiled slyly, raised his hand to make a coin gesture, and winked. I will rob the warehouse of the Shaolin temple. In the training yard of the Shaolin temple, powerful shouts echoed. Countless disciples were diligently practicing under the supervision of the abbot. Abbot Ming Ji approached, commenting with satisfaction, good, everyone is training hard. Seeing this, Ming Shan turned to clasp his hands, greetings, senior brother. Ming Ji nodded, replying, you've worked hard, are you preparing well for the Battle of 4 Kings? Ming Shan replied with a smile, as you can see, there are a few outstanding children among the 3rd-generation disciples. He looked toward a standout disciple in the row, throwing a powerful punch, so vigorous that even those nearby were startled.